y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new to the channel, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section. And in both locations, you'll find an identical set of links. Links that lead to videos that talk about what started my targeting in 2020, as well as links that lead to videos that share information about the targeted individual program. Info about the tactics used on targets, info about the technology used on targets, and information about the targeted individual program in general, y'all. This is a continuation video, y'all, of the ongoing drama with the man or the personal trainer from my old gym. I know I've made a series of videos recently, y'all, specifically these last 6 months, but really over the course of the last year and change, that's been the main focus in the targeting, and it doesn't make sense. It should be such an irrelevant thing. Like, that's not what this is about, my targeting, but they've actually shifted the focus on what took place with this man, and I've been receiving retribution for what was out of my control, whatever took place with this man from the old gym. So it's been the main focus in my targeting, and they keep painting false narratives about the situation and what took place. They've gone low down. I've been hit with energy weapons. They've insinuated that they recorded me having intercourse with an ex-boyfriend in my old apartment 4 years ago in 2021 or 2022. This was actually about 6 months ago, shortly after the interaction that I've talked about in these recent videos, y'all. And I talk about it again in this video. But the interaction that happened with the personal trainer's new girlfriend in my old gym 6 months ago, it was a bullying tactic that they set up that backfired. And they punished me. They punished me for it. I had to suffer for, again, something that was out of my control. So that was when they started really they were already trying to hurt me over the situation, but they were really trying to hurt me after that boy. These, degrading me, trying to humiliate me every freaking day, sending horrible stuff with the technology. Just setting up a bunch of different things, y'all, to try to hurt me as retribution for this person, right? For the trainer. And then I guess this interaction that happened with his girlfriend that they tried to set up 6 months ago, that I guess you could say backfired. It was a bullying tactic they were trying to do anyway. So after that, shortly after that, that was when they started insinuating that they had recorded me having intercourse in my apartment with my ex-boyfriend. Just horrible stuff, y'all. It's just gotten real low and down low over somebody I don't even really know like that. I don't know him like that. I do not know that man. We worked out in the same vicinity for a year and change. We shared pleasantries, like we were amicable with each other. But there was a point where I didn't even know his name for a long time. And then after I learned it, I actually forgot it. I could not remember his name. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but I'm just trying to tell you how impersonal the relationship was. So how far they took whatever it was that took place with him and how it's now playing this major role in the targeting is ludicrous to me. Anyway, y'all, so this video is just diving, I guess you could say, deep into that situation and me trying to eradicate that part of the targeting. I'm actually trying to eradicate the targeting. I'm trying to get out of the targeting. That's what I'm working towards. But right now I'm still in the thing, and I'm trying to at least get away from that part of the targeting. I've been trying for months, for a year and change now, to get away from that part of the targeting, y'all. I'm in a new gym, and the thing has followed me into the new gym. It's in my workspace. It's everywhere. It's like that thing with that man has become a main staple focus in the targeting, and it should not have. Anyway, so that's what this video is about. I know it looks long, but it's a good video, y'all. Just talking about why I think the thing went as far as it did and why I think they're still pushing that narrative and pushing that situation, even though I'm not even in that gym anymore. Why I think they're still perpetuating certain things and pushing certain things as it pertains to that situation with that man. I'm talking about why I think they're doing what they're doing and just defending myself as usual over the situation and trying to get them to move on from that part of the targeting, because it shouldn't even really be a main thing in my targeting. Anyway, also, that's what the video is about. I had made a beginning clip that got interrupted, and I listened to it and I didn't care for how the video came out. So this is a remake of the intro clip. The next clip, you're going to hear me saying, sorry about the last video, it got deleted. It didn't get deleted. It got interrupted. So that's what I meant to say in the next clip. But now it has been deleted, and I decided to make this clip. So the next clip is just a continuation, y'all. And there are multiple clips in this video. This is a compilation of several different clips over the course of the last week and change. Me trying to make this video, y'all. I don't have the energy. I'm over the situation. I have been over it. The only reason I'm still talking about it because I'm being attacked daily over something that happened over a year and change ago. That wasn't my fault, that I didn't start with a person that I don't even really know like that. So that's why I keep making these videos about the situation. And that's why I sat here now for a good week and change, putting together this long ass video talking about the situation and why I think it's still present in the targeting. And of course, like I said, defending myself. So that's what the video is, y'all. Just documentation of some new things that has happened pertaining to the situation. Diving into why I think it's still a thing and why they're pushing false narratives and still trying to hurt me over the situation. And then just defending myself. All right, y'all. So that's it. Oh, there's also a correction I want to make. There's a part in the video, somewhere along in the video. It's a long video, as you all can see. There's a part in the video where I'm talking about something they did to me the other morning at work. Where there's this trivia channel that I follow on YouTube that, you know, they have shorts. You know how Facebook has shorts or reels that you can slide through and it's different shorts, similar to how TikTok is. And YouTube has the same thing. So does Instagram. A lot of these developer apps are similar. Anyway, on YouTube, there's this trivia channel I follow, and, you know, they ask you different, they're not asking you, but you can play along if you want to. So they'll have like 2 contestants on the screen, and it's like this short, you know, that lasts about 2 to 3 minutes. Sometimes it can go all the way up to 5 minutes. And in the short, they have 2 contestants there, and they're asking them these trivia questions just to test their knowledge. A lot of it is like questions that you might have learned, you know, information you might have learned in middle school or elementary school or high school, and things that you might not have kept up with over the years, right? Unless you're into that type of stuff. So, you know, I was watching one of those videos, one of those shorts, and I typically play along. They see me do this all the time, and I'll answer the questions, and often I get the questions correct, but there are times where I don't. So anyway, it was like a geography one, y'all, where they're asking geography questions about the countries that the equator runs through, and I got almost all of them correct. And so shortly after that clip played and I got those questions correct, remember they're watching me on camera 24/7. They're surveilling me. You know how it is when you're targeted. Immediately, I notice I'm getting hit with the energy weapon. And this was, look how they're diving the insect down as I'm talking about it, y'all. They're bipolar. Like, they do different weird stuff. One minute they're chirping like they're trying to be peaceful. The next minute they're ready to jump on you again. Like, I'm tired of it. I'm so over this thing. So anyways, y'all, they start hitting my head with the energy weapon because I got some trivia questions correct. So, after I got the trivia questions correct and they started hitting my head with the energy weapon, I remembered saying, why are you hitting? Before they did that though, y'all, I got up and I went outside to spit in the grass, and they immediately started to chirp the bird. So they do this passive aggressive thing. I've talked about this in prior videos, where if I go outside and I open the door and I try to spit in the grass, or I'm going outside to do something, they'll insinuate I need to leave, and they'll start chirping the bird. This aggressive thing where they're starting with me first and torturing me. This is what I've been dealing with for months, y'all. Anyway, so they'll start chirping like I need to leave if something that they don't like happens, or they're trying to antagonize me. So I was like, I've been sitting here good the whole time. I've gone outside several times. You were not chirping when I was opening the door. Then now I sat here and I answered some trivia questions correctly. And now you're chirping like I need to leave because I got some trivia questions on a YouTube video correct? So anyways, you'll hear the documentation of what took place, y'all. But when I'm talking about it in the video, when you get to that part of the video, I kept saying that it was a trivial channel, asking trivial questions. And then I also went on to say that I could not believe that they would hit my head with the energy weapon over answering trivial questions correctly. So what I meant to say was it was a trivia channel asking trivia questions. Look how they're being aggressive with the bird now. I don't know why. Somebody new must be on shift, because they were not moving like that with the bird just now. Something weird is going on. I can always tell when somebody new is controlling the birds or something weird is going on. Something weird is happening. Anyway, so I forgot what I was saying now. That's what they're trying to do, distract me. But they weren't doing that before, y'all. And I'm finally finishing this freaking video. It's a long video, y'all, a compilation of different videos I've put together that I made over the course of the last week. And the reason it took me so long to make the video is because I'm so tired of talking about this shit. I'm sick of it. But I have to keep defending myself because every day I'm being attacked and tortured over that stupid ass situation with this man that I don't even know like that. Anyway, so after I started talking to them. You know how you start talking out loud to them because they're interacting with you with noise campaigns, like what they were just doing just now with the bird drone. I started saying, okay, so you're insinuating I need to leave because I answered some trivial questions correctly? Because to me, that's a minute thing. You know, these are basic ass questions about geography, and either you know it or you don't. You know, it's not like I was answering calculus questions or trigonometry questions or questions about physics and getting it correct. Then I could see you, even still, I'm like, why would that make you upset and why would that lead to me getting attacked? But at the same time, then I could see you maybe feeling like whatever. These were geography questions. And of course, not everyone keeps up with the continents and the countries. And if you're into that stuff, you do. Or if you're somebody that travels a lot. Or if you have good memory and you remember learning these things. And you learn geography in 7th and 8th grade, middle school. But I actually keep up with maps and stuff. I am interested in traveling. I wanted to be somebody that got to travel and stuff. This is why I'm so upset that I'm targeted. Not just I didn't want to settle down in one place, but I mean on vacation and stuff. I want to travel and see different places. So it really sucks that I'm like locked in like a prisoner and I haven't committed a crime. And I'm being tortured daily too. So anyways, y'all. So this is what I was commenting. I said, so you're insinuating I need to leave and you're hitting my head with the energy weapon because I answered some trivial questions correctly. So I meant to say when I was talking about the channel itself, I didn't mean to say it was a trivial question. I'm sorry, a trivial channel asking trivial questions. I meant to say it was a trivia channel that asks trivia questions. But then later in the clip where I'm talking about what they did after I answered after I answered the questions correctly, I was saying that I couldn't believe that they would hit my head with the energy weapon over something so trivial. So I just wanted to correct myself, y'all. It's exhaustion and brain fog from being hit with energy weapons all the freaking time. It scrambles your brain. It causes brain fog. It raises cortisol levels. It causes chronic fatigue. So this is where you'll hear me stammering often in these videos, or you'll hear me correcting myself. You know, I listen back and the grammar is terrible, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why would I say they was instead of they were? That's just an example. Like things like that happen all the time where I'm using poor grammar or I'm stammering and can't get it together. I never had an issue with speaking well, y'all. I stammer all over my words these days because I'm being constantly attacked and tortured and brain fog and energy weapon attacks, etc. Anyways, y'all, so I just wanted to make that correction. Talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Sorry about that, y'all. The video got deleted. So I'm going to be conscious and cognizant of my voice level and the volume. I wasn't even being loud, to be honest with you. I think it's just a tactic. This is similar to when I was making the video and I was talking about what happened the last time I saw the man in the store and then the video got interrupted. But anyway, I have to be cognizant of the volume of my voice so that... Excuse me, y'all. Sorry, I just ate something. The video doesn't get interrupted. Anyway, back to what I was saying, though, y'all. I even took notes, y'all. So I can talk about the different points that I have with this situation, right? Actions speak louder than words. If you look at the actions he took after the incident occurred versus the actions I took, you can see who seems bothered and who doesn't seem bothered by the situation. Or if anyone likes anyone in the situation, it damn sure ain't me. The actions I took weren't the actions of somebody that likes someone. The actions he took could be mistaken for the actions of someone that likes someone. And I think that's what the problem is. It's almost reminding me, the millennials know about this show. Hey Arnold. I think some of Gen Z have seen the show as well. With Helga Pataki, where she liked Arnold so freaking bad, and she was doing horrible stuff to Arnold, horrible, mean stuff, bullying him and tormenting him, and he's just going about his daily life trying to live his life. He's not studying the girl. And she's doing horrible stuff to him. Hey, football head. And then you go to the closet and you look in her closet and she has a whole shrine of Arnold. This is what it's reminding me of. Now I'm saying this. I wasn't going around saying he liked me. They keep running me down. He don't like you. He don't like you. And throwing all these people on top of me. Why do you feel the need to still say that? You said that already. Months ago. Why are you still saying that and doing tactics and putting his friends on top of me and doing all these weird tactics? Because you don't feel vindicated by the actions that were taken. That has to be what it is. Because I'm not saying, it's almost like you're guilty. I'm not saying he likes me. Are you guilty? Do you think he likes me? Is that the problem? Why am I being insulted and degraded and harassed and tormented and constantly having you throw with the technology? He don't like you, you gorilla. If you feel that way, then leave me alone. Why do you feel the need to keep telling me that every damn day if you really feel that way? Do you really feel that way? Because if we look at the actions that were taken, y'all, now I'm saying this because they won't leave me alone. And I think what the problem is like I said, actions speak louder than words. I feel like they feel guilty. I think they feel like it looked like he liked me. And so they feel like they have to prove this, push this narrative of me being the vapid, thirsty female that nobody wants. And they have to degrade and humiliate me. But they also have to push aggressively the idea that he doesn't like me. If you really felt that way, the man has a whole girlfriend at this point. If you really felt that way, why would you feel the need to keep telling me that every day and doing the tactics you're doing? Why would you beat my head with energy weapons when I got friend requests? Why would you pull out the fact that you recorded me having intercourse in my apartment 4 years ago with an ex-boyfriend to hurt me? Right after the incident where his girlfriend happened, where she was malfunctioning. Why would you do these things if you felt like he didn't like me? Because it's not looking good. It's really not. Anyway, y'all, so, you know, like I said, if you look at the things that took place before I left that gym, right? First of all, right down to when he was still coming to the gym. The last thing that happened with him, I talked about this in the last video I posted. I was working out listening to Angie Stone on my playlist. And she had just passed away. God forbid, may her rest in peace. And I told y'all I grew up listening to Angie Stone. Look at them making noise for passed away now because what I'm saying makes sense. Look at what they're doing. And also, too, they're making noise for, when I came home, they were landing one of the drones on my door, one of the insect drones on my door, like I need to be home or I need to stay home. Because what I'm saying makes sense. Because I'm right. I don't understand it. Is it because I'm right? Is that why? So anyways, she had just passed away, y'all. And it's horrible because I grew up listening to her. She's one of those people I grew up listening to. Like, I'm in an island, y'all. So you have to understand there's like a diverse group of people down here. And a lot of people grew up listening to island music, even the millennials. And then you have some that grew up listening to the type of music I listen to, like neo soul, maybe a mix of all types of different music. I grew up in an eclectic household. So my mother grew up in New York, for like she was born and raised in New York, but her family is from the Virgin Islands. So when she was a teenager, like 14, I think, or 13, something like that, her mom moved back home with her and her siblings because she had divorced my grandfather. And so she moved back here to this island with my mom and her siblings. And they moved to this neighborhood, and that was how she met my dad. They met when they were teenagers. My dad is from Trinidad. And I've said this already. I'm not trying to go off on a tangent, y'all. But she had that kind of vibe where she was listening to like neo-soul stateside music, even though she's from the islands. And so we grew up listening to that type of music. So I grew up listening to people like Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, Lauryn Hill, those type of neo-soul type artists, India Irie, and also island music. But a lot of the music we listened to was that type of music, Maxwell, that type of stuff. And then my dad was listening to reggae music. So I also was listening to like, different older reggae artists. what, I can't remember the names. What's the name? Barris Hamilton or something. I can't remember the names, y'all. That's to tell you, because we were more so listening to my mom's music. I'm gonna be honest with you, but we were listening to some reggae too. We really were. Anyway, so I grew up listening to Angie Stone, though. Not to go off on a tangent, because that's what I started doing just now. ADD, y'all. Anyway, so when she passed away, it was like a big thing for me and the people in this household. Like, a lot of the people started listening in to the story behind her passing away because it was some conspiracy theory. And so that's why her music recently had started, that's why her music last year had started trending. And so people started listening to her music because, you know, she passed away and there's this big controversial story behind her passing away. And so people started listening. But not everyone grew up listening to Angie Stone. Like, maybe some of the stateside folks, some of the stateside millennials. Down here, I don't think a lot of them grew up really listening to that. Some of them, I'm sure, maybe. But we grew up listening to that. So I actually know Angie Stone, like, as an artist. And I am still a fan. And so when she passed, I remembered it being something that was really sad. It gave me nostalgia, listening to her songs trending. But it also was sad. It was sad for me. So I downloaded a bunch of her songs to my playlist. A bunch of songs, y'all. It wasn't just that one song. They watched me do it. They're watching everything I'm doing like a hawk. Waiting for a moment to freaking try to bite me in my neck because they're having an issue. I'm literally on eggshells, y'all. Anyway, so I downloaded a bunch of her songs, y'all. A bunch of her songs. And it wasn't me trying to take a dib at this man. I'm not even thinking about this man. I'm literally fighting for my life. You live in a comfortable life, Irie life, doing whatever the fuck you want to do off camera. I am literally on camera and fighting for my life. I am not thinking about you if I'm not in that damn gym and I'm not seeing you in my face. I am not thinking about you. So anyway, when I get to the gym now, I'm doing my workout. And this was after the incident with him occurred, y'all. The big thing that created whatever at the end of 2024. This was after. And once he started coming back to the gym, because remember I told y'all after I finally responded to what he was doing for a whole month, I had one day where I thought negative thoughts about him. And remember with the neuromonitoring, they can hear your thoughts in real time. After I did that and he got humiliated or whatever happened, and he started coming to the gym while I was there, he eventually started coming back while I was there. He eventually started showing up again. So I remember I was doing my workout, y'all, and I'm laying on the leg extension machine and I'm doing my leg extensions and I'm doing my sets. You're watching everything I'm doing. You know I'm doing sets. So anyway, I'm doing the sets and my set happened to end at a part in the song where she's talking about, basically she was singing about like this controlling ex-boyfriend. First of all, already you should know that's not for you. You're not my man. You never were. So how could this be for you? So anyway, it was saying, you know, something about you so controlling, you too busy following behind me. What did it say? You too busy following behind me like you can't even hold on a job is basically what the lyrics were. I can't remember the exact lyrics, but that was the gist of it, y'all. Obviously, that's not verbatim what was said, but it was like basically her talking about this controlling ex, and he's so busy keeping tabs on her and following her around the place that he can't even hold down a stable job. I don't even know what this man's finances is. To my knowledge, just to tell you, I don't even really know him like that. That's what's so creepy about what they're doing. Y'all, sorry that the video cut off again. I was interrupted again. That's why the video ended. And correction, I said I don't even know what this man's finances is. I meant to say I don't even know what this man's finances are. Please excuse the poor grammar. I always say this, y'all. You know I'm extra anal. Not just anal, but I'm hard on myself when it comes to these videos and speaking with correct grammar and etiquette and etc. because I was an English teacher. And they all know that. And also I'm in the process of trying to become an English teacher again. So I'm throughout the last 4 years, if you've been listening to my videos, you'll always hear me correcting myself or apologizing if I sounded like I was using improper, you know, just extra hard on myself, y'all. So please do excuse though if you hear, because I heard several errors. That's just the one I decided to correct. I heard several errors. Anyway, y'all, Back to what I was saying, though, not to go off on a tangent. I don't know what this man's finances are. The only thing I know about this man is that he's a personal trainer. Most of the personal trainers I know do other things. Not necessarily. That could be your main bread and butter. Typically, though, the personal trainers that I see that are making a living off of it are like those viral personal trainers that have like buku followers and they're like training celebrities, etc. I don't want to say something ignorant. Maybe there are people that are using that job as like their main source of income. If he's getting enough clientele, it's possible. I think he knows a lot of people, so it's possible. The point is, I don't know what he's doing, okay? I don't know what this man's finances are, and I don't care. So the song wouldn't be for you. This is all I'm saying. That song, why would it be for you? You're not my boyfriend. You're not my man. You never were my man. So she's talking about somebody that she's in a relationship with or was in a relationship with that's following her around and being controlling. And it's to the point where it's so bad he's not even holding down a job. Aren't you a personal trainer? Isn't that your job? And if there's other things that you do to the side, I don't know about it. So how could that song be for you? So anyways, y'all, the rep happened to stop. The set happened to end right when she said that. He started to get pissed off. I see the man's face because I got up. I actually had finished at that point. The workout was over. I got up. I see the man's face look set up. He flew out the gym. He come back in the gym with a cart full of water. He goes in. He walked by me with this glare on his face. Then he goes into the back room by the freezer and starts jamming waters into the freezer. So I remember snickering because all the actions he took was out of control back then. Anyway, so I remember just kind of snickering, and then I purposely put the song on repeat. And then I purposely kept squatting down at that part because I realized that was what caused the reaction. Then after he was done, he went and he sat at one of the machines nearby and started trying to do like push, whatever he was doing, some workout, and he was looking bassety. After that, the man stopped coming to the gym. Again, there was another period where he stopped coming. His girlfriend starts coming in place of him. So I'm noticing she's coming. I didn't start doing anything petty with this girl, I'm seeing her coming in place of him right after that big weird thing with the Angie Stone thing. I could have used that as a moment to be a cocky bitch and say, you see, he likes me. See how he acted? He likes me. I didn't say that. I didn't do anything. I just quietly noted what took place and I pretended like I didn't see what happened. It wasn't until now, again, another song is playing on my playlist. I'm working on, again, minding my business, squatting on the Smith machine. And in the song, it said something about leave. And the girlfriend stood up behind me in the mirror and just watched me in the mirror for a couple seconds. And then she walked off and moved to a different machine. So that's when I started doing stuff. Subtle things, nothing major. It's just every time she started coming in after that day, I would purposely start snickering. I talked about it in the last video, y'all. Because in my head, I'm like, are you crazy? I must leave my gym, the gym that I've been in for a whole year and change, because you're now dating this man that has an issue? I'm like, are you nuts? So anyway, that's where I finally reacted to this girl, because before she was just like an innocent bystander. And to me, I felt like if I had this reaction where I started insulting or coming for her and she hadn't done anything to me, she would have been collateral damage, and I'm not an ignorant person. I'm never going to come for you unless you come for me first. So even though his friends were back there insulting me, the guppy that they had in the gym today that was in my inbox. Anyway, I don't want to sound like that because now it's going to turn into this thing and anybody that wrote me in my inbox is going to be looking at me like I'm a bitch. This is how targeting works, y'all. But it's just like the nerve of you. Anyway, this friend that kind of was checking me out before things went sour in that gym and who had wrote me a few times on Facebook under my story, they had him and another friend back there insulting me. I talked about this in the last video, y'all, and in several videos, insulting me when the guy got with the girl and he blocked my workout and was kissing at her and followed me around the gym with her and doing stuff, and I didn't care. It culminated in them setting this thing up where his friends were in the back room trying to insult me while the girl is there, do this weird directed convo tactic to get in my head. Even then, I did not insult the girl. If I were an ignorant person, I would have. I didn't. I didn't start doing stuff as far as this girl goes until she took action first. So it was first her coming behind me and doing the leave thing. That was the first thing where I was just like, are you nuts? I'm not going to leave my gym over a man I don't care about because you're dating him now? And then the second thing was the incident that took place 6 months ago where she was malfunctioning. The thing that I utilize the most to antagonize them back when they're doing the weird, crazy stuff to me, that for something that was out of my control. So anyways, y'all, so those are the actions that I'm talking about that I feel like they feel, that's why I think they're following me around and doing what they're doing and trying to push certain things and push a certain narrative as it pertains to me and trying to pound in my head, he don't like you, even though I'm not saying that he does. Because I feel like they feel like their actions did not vindicate them. And I feel like they think his actions looked like he liked me. So they need me to understand that he doesn't like me. And I have to be tortured and humiliated and degraded in the meantime too. I've already said I don't care. Leave me alone. So anyways, y'all, so these are the actions that were taken. It was the initial thing that he did in the first place, which I don't need to tell the story again. They know it very well. It was that thing that he did randomly after me working out with him for a whole year and change. Now they're trying to pretend like it's about white people. It's about homeless people. They're pulling everything out to try to validate what took place. Why wasn't he doing it from the time I got in the gym then? Why then when the Italian guy's name started popping in my head? Why then? Anyways, y'all, so just craziness that I'm dealing with them. Hold on, y'all. Let me go to my list, y'all. So these are the actions that he took. Like I was saying, it was the initial thing that he did in the first place that led to me having the one reaction I did after a month of him doing horrible stuff. Yeah, I almost feel like I should talk about it again. Even though I've told the story again, I feel like because this is all a part of the actions that were taken that I feel like is the whole main reason why they're doing what they're doing. Because they feel like it looks like he liked me. I think they feel guilty or something. Because I'm not going around saying he likes me. So why are you insulting me and degrading me daily? Pulling out low, humiliating ass, down low stuff. Like insinuating that you were recording me having intercourse with an ex-boyfriend in my apartment to hurt me. Hiring Tom, Dick, Joe, Bob, any man that's willing to take a paycheck that needs the money to gang stalk, to try to hurt me, actually allowing his friends from the old gym to slowly but surely migrate over to my gym to work out next to me, sending stuff through the technology to humiliate me, like he don't like you, you gorilla. Why are you doing that? I'm not going around saying he likes me. It's 2 years later. And I'm actually begging you all to please stop and leave me alone. So why are you still doing these things if you feel like he doesn't like me? Why are you still doing these things? Because actions speak louder than words. And I feel like the actions that he took I think you feel like it looks like he liked me. That's what I think. And so I have to now suffer for it. I already said I don't care. Whether he did or didn't, I don't care. Leave me alone. Then they follow me around but thirsty. But when the man actually gave me his number and asked me to go on a hike, I never used the number. It took me a whole week to text him. I texted him the day the hike was happening and I said I'm not going. The number sat in my phone until the phone went bad. I have a new phone now. I don't even have the number anymore. Apparently he sent me a friend request on Facebook that I didn't see because I have so many, y'all. Y'all can see, right? 3.2K, right? That's what that is. Just so you can understand. Every time you get a friend request, it becomes a follower. I get so many friend requests all the time. Now recently, they've been trying to do this manipulative tactic where they're sending gang stalk and friend requests. But in between, I'm also getting authentic ones. But they just recently started doing that now. Hardcore sending like these gang stalk and friend requests because of that story that I put up in the short pants with the green shirt on. That update that I showed y'all, that workout update. I put a story up here on Facebook as well. And it got a lot of views and likes. As soon as that started happening, they started the tactic where they're aggressively now throwing dudes on me in the new gym on top of me to work out on top of me. And I'm getting these weird ass gang stalk and friend requests. Anyway, I really authentically do get a lot of friend requests though. So I didn't even know this man had sent me a friend request. I had no clue. I had no clue this man had sent me a friend request. He was sitting here in the followers. And this was after the incident where his girlfriend happened, when I found out that he sent the friend request. I actually came in here in the followers and I went right here in the search and I was looking for somebody. I forget who I was looking for because I don't even remember that this man's name began with an SK. That's the time I couldn't even remember his name. A lot of these guys I was working out with, I didn't really know their name like that. So I'm typing in SK, I'm looking for whatever it is I was looking for. And I see this yellow outfit pop up. I said, wait a minute, who is this? It's the man from the gym. I said, what? I said, wait a minute, this man is following me? I had no clue. But they're calling me thirsty. I can't make this shit up, y'all. Anyways, so none of the actions I took were thirsty. After the incident occurred that he started for a whole month, where I had the reaction that I did finally after a whole month of him doing horrible stuff, after I finally reacted and thought nasty stuff about him, and then he disappeared out the gym for however long he disappeared, and then he came back. He starts putting, all of a sudden, it's like they felt bad for him to hook him up with a girl or whatever happened. All of a sudden, he has a girlfriend now. He's sticking the girlfriend on top of me. I did not have a nasty reaction. In fact, I said humble things at first. And I acknowledged that, okay, he's probably doing this because I hurt his feelings. Even though he started with me first. I was grown and adult enough, even though he's much older than me. He's like a decade and change older than me, however much older he is than me. Whatever the amount is. It's about a decade, something like that. I was grown and mature enough to say, okay, this is probably because I hurt his feelings. Even though he started with me and hurt my feelings first. Where he started attacking me for a whole month with horrible stuff. I acknowledge, I'm like, okay, he's probably putting the girlfriend on top of me because I hurt his feelings. Okay, whatever. So I said something nice about him and her in the video, like as some sort of kind of like white flag so that you can leave me alone now and we can move on from the situation. That wasn't enough. I think they wanted me to have some sort of explosive reaction or look butthurt over it. I think that's part of it. Hear the ref campaign? You hear the ref campaign? I think that's part of it. I think it's the actions that were taken on his end that they're trying to now validate. And then I also think it was my actions and the fact that I didn't seem bothered by this new girlfriend and I didn't seem hurt. And so it's like this relentless campaign to hurt me and get me to have some sort of reaction. Like they're chirping and acknowledging that. The hell is going on? I could see if this were a boyfriend that I hurt and I was a complete bitch to for no reason. This was a random man in the gym that started doing stuff to me for a whole month first and I had a reaction. What is wrong with you? Anyways, y'all. I'm so over the situation and tired of talking about it. It's like it has me feeling like I can't breathe. I'm waking up feeling dread. Anyway, y'all. So nonetheless, I think I didn't have the reaction that they were looking for. And I think this is why it's like this aggressive campaign to hurt me. And perpetuate this narrative of don't want. I have to be the unwanted, vapid female. I did live a whole life before the targeting and I was able to date men and I had no issue getting a date. So, anyways, y'all, so all of that took place. Those things with him that I feel, those actions that, you know, he took that I felt like they weren't happy with the result of, whatever, however it looked, whatever the optics were, whatever it looked like. And then also the fact that I didn't seem hurt when he started bringing this girl around, the girlfriend. So anyway, they do the tactic where they have the friend now go to the back room. Like I just talked about this already. The two friends, and they're doing this because I didn't react to what he was doing with the girlfriend, where he's working out on top of me everywhere I'm going. He's going with this girl. And then it got so damn bad that I wasn't reacting that he blocked me. While I'm squatting at the Smith machine, he blocks the mirror and starts doing bicep curls with her and blowing kisses at her. So I'm like, okay, he even starts being humble, you know. I was like, okay, he's doing this because I hurt his feelings. It's okay. It wasn't until it started getting nasty and low down and the friends go to the back room and start trying to insult me that I started getting nasty back about it. I'm gonna have to talk to you. Y'all, I'm here at work. I was not gonna do the video here, to be honest with you. I was not planning to finish it here. I came here to sit and just stay alert, and I was gonna finish it when I get home in the morning, because that person that kept interrupting my video will be at work. But immediately, as soon as I sit my ass on the chair, y'all know I do security at night, I'm just scrolling through Facebook. Immediately with the shadow networking AI software, you know how they can send you sensitizing subliminal ads, videos, etc. Immediately sending gaslighting videos about the situation with false narratives about the situation. I'm just like, huh? I'm like, okay, let me do the video here. I'm like, I was not planning to do it here at all. I'm telling you. I'm like, let me just do the video here. So anyway, back to what I was saying in the last video, y'all. Hold on, let me go over to my text messages, because I made notes, y'all. This is how through I am with the situation. I've been through with it. I've made videos for the last, you could say, year and change about the freaking situation. But specifically these last 6 months since the thing with his girlfriend happened and them amping up with the torture, I've been making videos back to back about the annoying situation. My workout's getting impeded. I'm getting hit with energy weapons. They're throwing a bunch of gang stalking dudes on top of me sipping water, which we already talked about in the beginning part of the video, which I already talked about. I don't know why I always say we, y'all, like I'm talking about more than one person. It's a bad habit. But which I already talked about in the beginning of the video is a hypocritical tactic. And then if we look at actions, you can see that I wasn't the one acting thirsty in the situation. Anyway, y'all, so like I was saying at the end of the last clip, I was talking about what took place with the friends, right? Where I didn't have the reaction to him like working out on top of me with this new girlfriend that it seems like they hooked him up with. So he eventually got so, I guess, fed up with me not, I guess, catching on to the fact that this was his new girlfriend, that he stood directly in front of me one day while I was trying to squat on the Smith machine with the girl, and they're both doing bicep curls, and then he starts blowing kisses at her. Meanwhile, you're impeding my workout. But I still didn't act like a bitch at the moment either. In my head, I was still being humble about the situation. And it was more like an epiphany, like an aha moment where I was like, oh, that's why he keeps working out on top of me and around me with this person. Because before he used to be in the gym in the vicinity near where I was at, but not on top of me the way he started being on top of me when he got with this person. It was definitely him trying to let me know very blatantly that this is his girlfriend. So anyway, after he did that where he blocked my workout and he's blowing kisses at her, I was like, okay, so that's why this is happening. And I humbly said or acknowledged, okay, this is probably just because I thought those mean things about him. After he started doing horrible stuff to me for a whole month for no reason, I was like, okay, well, that's probably what's going on. He was embarrassed because I remember he left the gym that day and he didn't come back to the gym for like a week and change after I thought those mean things. And then all of a sudden now, about a month later, he has this new girlfriend and he's on top of me with her. I mean, it's as clear as day what took place. So it's like, okay, I understand. I didn't get rude or anything disrespectful. I didn't start screaming, I don't like you and all this other word, because I didn't feel like I had to. I think my actions were clear enough that is not that. So anyways, instead of getting upset, I think this is what they were expecting or wanting from me. This was what they were hoping to get from me, which is what I was talking about in the last clip. I didn't get upset because I didn't like him like that. It's not what you thought it was, baby. So anyway, they take the friends now. One of the friends, by the way, that used to very blatantly be checking me out, and I saw him checking out other females too. He's just one of those type of dudes. And he was in the gym today too, y'all. I'm about to talk about him in a second. Anyway, very blatantly had them doing direct convoy. That friend and another friend that was kind of around the place, right? He was just kind of like this presence. He wasn't, if he was checking, like he didn't do any like over the top, like he's checking me out or doing stuff. He was just there. Anyway, the two of them were there and they start doing directed convo while the girlfriend's standing there, right? And doing this weird thing where they're doing directed convo and tearing me down while trying to uplift her. Yeah, but that thing didn't look good. Calling me a thing, first of all, but that's how they talk anyway down here, right? So I gave them grace for that. That's just a part of like the slang and stuff. That's how they talk down here. Like, even if they're talking about talking to a female, the guys, they'll say, you press the ting? That means did you hit on that girl, right? If they say, did you press the thing? So that's just how they talk down here. It's just island slang. It's an accent. But what made it feel more offensive was because they were using it in a derogatory way. But that thing didn't look good. You look good. That thing didn't look good. And I'm looking at the girl and I'm like, she doesn't look better than me. And if I were an ignorant person, I could have been, insulting her and immediately hop on a video and go, are you crazy? That go ham. I didn't do that. Because I don't care, first of all. I don't like him like that. And she wasn't competition to me. So anyway, I more so went in on the two friends because now you're directly doing something and you're directly insulting me and I didn't do anything to you. And I know why you're doing it. Especially that friend that I had seen blatantly checking me out before the thing with his friend popped off. And he had even written under a few stories on Facebook for me. I'm like, you're hopping on and trying to do anything or say anything? And he's not the best looking either. That's why I really started going in on him. I'm like, you're going in on me not looking good and you are like a butterface. You have a nice body and your face is... And I don't care if they say I'm a bitch because he said stuff about me first. I'm not even a vain person, y'all. If you're a good person and I find you attractive based off of your personality, as long as it's like I'm not completely like, unattracted to the appearance, then it's, you don't have to be the finest thing in the world. I'm not a vain person. But you're insulting me over a situation that your friend started and I saw you checking me out before and you're not even out good look. You're not really... You're in shape. Anyway, so I started going in and being a bitch about that. And I started saying stuff about that friend and I said a few things about the other friend. I did not insult the girl because to me, that would have been ignorant. She didn't do anything to me. She was standing there. She didn't stop them. But she didn't say anything about me at that time, so I didn't say anything about her. I'm not an ignorant person. I think if the roles were reversed, I think she would have been dissing me. I really do. With the personality I've noticed that she has, with the stuff she did to me, right? The action she took. I think had she been in my shoes, I think she would have been dissing me, even though I hadn't done anything to her. Anyway, so nonetheless, I don't want that man. And now it's going to sound like I'm being a bitch. I don't want that man. But I think my actions vindicated me. So I don't feel the need to every day scream at the top of with everything they're doing. I'm the one who should be screaming, don't want, and I don't like him. They're doing this like I'm going around telling people he likes me. Why are you following me around screaming he doesn't like me and calling me a gorilla and all these horrible things? Am I saying he likes me? Or are you guilty and you feel like his actions look like he liked me? Is that what the problem is? Because I'm actually begging you to stop and leave me alone. And I was actually at first being humble about the situation. So what the hell is the issue? Anyways, y'all, it's just a nightmare like that I cannot get away from. Like, it's a real fucking nightmare. Anyway, so actions, y'all. That's what I wanted to talk about. Actions speaking louder than words and why I think they're doing what they're doing. And I even made the Helga Pataki reference, right? So that's why I think they sent that thing on Facebook just now trying to reverse it. And what they sent was... It was this, again, it's not comparable because it's two people that were in a relationship. They even have a child together. This is why I keep saying it's strange what they're doing because that's what I didn't continue with from the last clip, y'all. This is why we should have listened in full to the last clip. I made it way earlier, y'all. I'm at work now. I just listened to the tail end. But I remember I was also talking about the Angie Stone thing that happened in the gym. Excuse me. And the fact that him and I were not together. I don't even really know the man like that. If we're keeping it real, yes, I worked out around him in the same vicinity as him for about a year and change, but I didn't get to know him like that. I don't know him. Much less to say we had a relationship or anything like that. Using the word relation is even a bit too intimate, in my opinion. Anyway, so nonetheless, I don't know him like that. So for them to be, creating this big, huge, whatever they're creating from it, it's strange to me. You would swear I had something with the man for real. Anyway, so just now on Facebook, I'm scrolling through. Like I said, I'm at work. I was not going to finish the video here. I was going to finish it tomorrow. They put a post on the newsfeed. You know how they do with the Shadow Network. I'm like, do I want to watch this? Because I already know how they operate with the AI and stuff. I'm like, I'm sure they're going to start with the dumb bullshit. But I still clicked on it because I saw her with a big machete in her hand. And she's sticking it into the vehicle of somebody that's recording her. So I put it on speaker now to hear what's being said. Apparently she's having a fight with her baby daddy while the son's in the car, by the way. She has the big machete swinging around. I would never do anything like that. They know that's not my temperament. And they know it's never physical with me. And it's never for no reason. Anytime I'm going off, it's because you started first. Guaranteed. Every time. So anyway, she's acting crazy and irate and swinging the machete around and stuff. And the baby daddy's saying, what did I do? What did I do? I didn't do anything. He's Jamaican, right? I'm not good with the Jamaican accent. I've dated a Jamaican guy, multiple Jamaican guys before, but I'm still not good with the accent. I barely have the accent of the island I'm from, right? But anyways, y'all, he's talking about, I didn't do anything to her. I didn't do anything to her. I just asked her if she bought the kids snacks this morning. This is what he was saying. Like, he was just asking her if she bought, like, his, I guess he has a son with her or whatever. I don't know if it's multiple children. I saw another child on the stairs. I don't know if she has multiple baby dads. None of my business, right? That's irrelevant. But he's like, I just asked her if she bought the kids snack this morning. And look what she's doing. And she's flipping out, y'all, with a machete, swinging it inside the vehicle while her son is sitting in the freaking seat right next to where she's coming into the vehicle with the machete. He's screaming and crying. And she's swinging the machete and acting like a damn nutcase. And he's recording her. And he's like, I didn't do anything. I just asked her if she bought the kids snack this morning. That's what he's saying, right? And she's coming around and trying to grab him. Eventually, some dude walked up, I don't know who that was, and grabbed the machete out of her hand. And so he's zooming in on her and talking about how crazy his baby mama is. And I'm hearing like slight chirps with the bird. You know, they use drones on us, y'all. Birds, insects, etc. outside. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, I know they couldn't really be insinuating that this is me. Because I know they know out of the situation that took place between him and I, y'all heard the things I talked about in the earlier clips, he would be her, not me. I'm the man that's saying, what did I do? What are you doing this for? First of all, but second of all, again, it's not comparable because him and I didn't even have a relationship. I barely know him. We were just working out in the same vicinity. I barely know him. Anyway, so after she's acting crazy and he records her and stuff and he drives off, I scroll past the video. I'm like, okay, I know they couldn't. In my head, I'm like, there's no way they're trying to make her represent me. I scroll past the video. Immediately, I see an ad. Why doesn't anything want me? Or why doesn't anybody want to buy me? Again, still trying to push the false narrative of the vapid female that nobody wants. The gaslighting false narrative. And that's supposed to be, like, I guess, connected to the last ad that I'm just attacking him because he didn't want me. Lies. Him and I were working out in the gym in the same vicinity as each other for a whole year and change. And there was a point where he even asked me to go on a hike and gave me his number and I didn't use it. I used the number one time on the day of the hike and I said, I'm not going. Do you know that the number sat on my phone so long the phone went bad and I don't have the number anymore? I just showed you all that he sent me a friend request on Facebook. I didn't even know he sent it. He's sitting in my followers right now. It wasn't like he don't want me. Now, whether that was genuine or disingenuous, I don't give a shit. The point is, you can see that I don't want him, and his actions were not saying that he didn't want me. So that wouldn't have created an angry response. That's major gaslighting and a false narrative. The anger came because at the end of the year, after months of us working out together, a year and change, he randomly started doing horrible stuff when the Italian guy's name started popping in my head. That's literally that's the only time I could think that's when it started. I don't know what caused it, but that's when it started. That was literally when it started. They were both in there working out good. In the morning time. When I started going in the morning time, I've told this story before. I don't want to tell it again, y'all. And then I heard one of them call the Italian guy's name, and this is how I learned his name. I heard one of them call his name, and so the name, due to anxiety, y'all, his name started popping in my head. Every time I would go in the gym and I would see him, his name started popping in my head. I couldn't control it. It's happened before. It happened with the lady for my job, my security job, the secretary. Thank God that tick isn't happening anymore. That was a couple years ago where her name was popping in my head, and it was due to anxiety. Because sometimes while, I'm having these reactions outside of work, she would send me like a text message, like while I'm having a reaction, or she would send the schedule, or things were happening with the schedule, with the hours. Things are more consistent now, thank the Most High. But I'm talking about the earlier years when I had first got back on the island and the targeting had just gone viral, like around 2023, even 2024. That was when her name was popping in my head and I couldn't control. After I realized that they were, monitoring my thoughts and that they could hear my thoughts, it became this big joke on island. They were even on the radio. They kept doing ads with her name. Then there was this dude that worked security with me. He had a problem with me. You know, we used to work together at the night shift, and I don't know, I don't want to talk about him and bring him up again, but he used to be doing like polar stuff to another one that was doing stuff that I didn't understand, right? Anyway, I'm not going to talk about him right now, but his name became, on the nights when we would work together, his name became a thing that was popping in my head. So it's really anyone that makes me anxious. They tried to use that as this kind of way, like, you know, I don't know what they were trying to create with the name popping in my head, but it was nothing more than anxiety. But I wasn't being disrespectful. There was no issue going on. They were both in there working out good. And the name just started popping in my head and I couldn't control it. Literally shortly after that, he started doing horrible stuff. It wasn't even the dude whose name was popping in my head that started doing the stuff. It was him. The first time I noticed that he started doing stuff was when I was squatting. I've told the story. The story doesn't change. It all happened on camera. I was squatting on the Smith machine, and I used to do this thing where when I started feeling like winded and out of breath and stuff, I'd drink water with cayenne pepper or oregano oil to open up my blood vessels because those things are vasodilators. And then I'll stand underneath the AC vent and I'll try to like let the cold air come down on me because something about that stimulates the vagus nerve, and that's what's getting agitated when you're lifting heavy and you're squatting heavy and stuff. There's pressure on the vagus nerve, and that's why sometimes people black out or they feel lightheaded, etc. So cold air actually helps. Even though I know that sounds contradictory if you know about science and stuff, heat opens up your blood vessels and heat is what opens up the pores and stuff. But it's something about the sensation of the cold on your skin and the sensation of the cold air going in that helps to stimulate the vagus nerve and helps it to relax. So I'll stand underneath the AC vent and take cayenne pepper or oregano oil just to catch my breath if I feel like I went too ham while I was squatting and I start feeling that shortness of breath feeling. So I'm doing that, and the Italian guy's in the vicinity working out, training somebody. And again, his name starts popping in my head. I couldn't control it. I'm trying my damnedest. Like, you think I wanted it to happen? I couldn't control it. So I'm standing under the, and I wasn't being disrespectful about it either. It's not like I was rolling my eyes like, oh God, or I could see if something like that was taking place, or I was being rude. I was being extremely respectful. There was no reason for it doesn't make sense. It's still up to this day. It doesn't make sense. You know, this is why they're still doing what they're doing, you know, trying to validate what was done. So anyway, I'm under the AC vent, I'm trying to catch my breath or whatever, and his name is popping in my head. I'm just like, it's like this weird thing where, you know, they can hear you. It's like Tourette's, but it's telepathic Tourette's is the best way to describe it. You know, like how a person with Tourette's can't control what's popping out of their mouth? And so sometimes they might yell like horrible obscenities or egregious things. They know how it works because they sent me an ad to be funny. About 2 months ago, they sent an ad of a girl that actually has Tourette's. And she was on the airport and she was about to go through TSA. And the sign said no guns. And so she read the sign, and I think something psychological happened with her. And she started screaming, I have a gun! I have a gun! Excuse me, y'all. And she couldn't control it. And that's the best way to describe, or the best analogy I can come up with to describe what happens when this thing in my head happens, what I call brain tics, where stuff is popping and I know they can hear my thoughts because of the neuromonitoring, and I can't stop it. And it's typically sensitizing things that I'm fearful will pop in my head. So like I said, that's why I said it's tied to anxiety, and I was anxious about the Italian guy. And so that's why his name was popping in my head like that. And so anyway, I'm there trying to control it. I know they can hear my thoughts, so it's as good as me saying it out loud. It's as good as me going, so-and-so, and saying his name, but I'm not saying it out loud, y'all. It's in my head. But they're hearing my thoughts in real time. It's some weird high science technology, y'all. We're in some strange times. This is the technological age and the age of quantum frequencies. We are in some strange times. Anyway, so the thing's popping in my head because he's nearby, you know, training somebody. And I happen to, when I'm leaving the Smith machine to go underneath the AC vent, I happen to look up and see him. So the name starts popping in my head again while I'm under the vent trying to catch my breath. I noticed the dude, the main trainer guy now, he walks by me and he's eating like this. It was like this yellowish, coincidentally enough, because now he's, you know, the yellow is the sensitization with him. He was eating like this yellowish fruit. I think it was mango or something. And he's eating it, and he walked by me and he like looked at me like under his eye, like he cut his eye at me, and then he threw it in the garbage. And so that was the first reference or insinuation that I'm trash. This is why I'm tying it to the name thing. I'm not just saying that out the side of my neck. It's not like, okay, I just noticed around this time, this is when the thing started. It was like literally right as the name ticked in my head while I'm under this AC vent. He walks by and he cuts his eye at me and he's eating some sort of yellow fruit and he throws it in the garbage. So I remember even thinking to myself, I wonder, I didn't think the thought clearly enough for them to hear my thought, but I remembered feeling like he was insinuating that I was garbage. But I wasn't sure about it. So I didn't make a big deal about it. I didn't say anything. He hadn't started doing horrible stuff yet. That was the start of it. So in my head, I'm like, look at him flying the fly in my face now. So in my head, I'm just wondering, I remembered feeling this like suspicious feeling or this feeling of like unease. Like, is he insinuating? It's the way he looked at me. I'm an empath. As much as I like to say I'm this cold person, right? And I'm emotionless and they sent me some friend requests, some gang stalking friend requests from a page called Dead Heart or Cold Heart, whatever it was called. Whatever it is that they're insinuating about me, false narratives, I actually feel everything and I'm what would be called an empath. So I can feel others' emotions and stuff. Like, I can't explain it. And I just knew that's what was happening in that moment. I knew he was insinuating I was trash. I knew it. But I still didn't want to seem like I'm accusing him or like I'm being paranoid or whatever. So I didn't say anything about it. I just kind of like noted it and I didn't say anything. So then now, like about a week later, maybe a couple days later, he starts all of a sudden, he's training this young looking female. She looked like she was in her 20s, like maybe my younger brother's age. I have two younger brothers. One is 8 years younger than me and one is 10 years younger. She looked like in that age range. Remember, I'm in my early 30s, y'all. I'm 34. She looked like, and at the time when this thing was happening, I think I was 33. Because I'm 34 now, y'all. I just made 34 December of last year. The weird thing about my age is it falls almost on the new year. Like, it falls at the very end of the year. So it's kind of like this confusing thing when it comes to that, right? But I believe I was 33 or 32 making 33 when the thing happened, because this was in 2024, the end of 2024, when this thing happened. In fact, I must have been 32 making 33 when it took place. So anyways, she looked about like maybe 10 years younger than me, like early 20s, maybe 22, 23, like a young female man. He's bringing her around and training her all of a sudden. He's trained females around me before. This is what he's been doing the whole time I've been in the gym. But he's never done anything like this where he's making the female come directly in front of me and bend. He's never done that. All of a sudden now he's training this younger female. And as soon as I get on the Smith machine, he does this tactic where he starts making her do RDLs directly in front of the Smith machine. And so every time I'm squatting down, he's making her do a rep and bend over. And so I'm face level with this girl's private part. I remember that's when I finally got pissed. That was when the start of my anger. So it wasn't about him not wanting me. It was about the horrible stuff that he started doing to me for no reason. So let's not gaslight and create false narratives. So anyway, I squat down and the girl's private parts is in my face. And if y'all have been keeping up with my targeting, you know about the bend over thing and what that insinuates, right? And how low that is to use that tactic. Especially the way he was using it. It's not even like he just had her in the vicinity doing the bend over thing. He put her it was weird. Like, there's this big, huge area where you could work her out. Why the hell would you, while somebody's on the Smith machine, would you put her directly in front of the Smith machine and make her start bending over? And you see me squatting, and every time I'm squatting, I'm face level with her private parts. Why would you do that? So anyway, he did that, right? And I remember that was when I actually finally did start getting pissed off. And so I made this video about it. I remember talking about it, like how weird it was that he did that. The fact that he made her start bending over in front of me, this new person that he was training. And I talked about the fact that I didn't understand why he was doing it. So he stopped doing that, right? He keeps training her. Little subliminal things were being done. For instance, there was something in my song that played that said something about beauty or something like that. I can't remember. Beauty was her name or something like that. Some reference about beauty. He walks by with the girl. Now, I don't know if that was a coincidence, but little subtle things like that I can't prove. Like these little subtle things, again, like the throwing the trash away when the dude's name is ticking in my head. These little subtle gaslighting things that if I say something, they can easily gaslight and pretend like I'm making an issue out of nothing. So that's why I didn't say anything. It wasn't until he made the girl bend directly in front of me while I'm squatting on the Smith machine. I'm like, okay, no, this is as blatant can be. I'm going to say something now. This is ridiculous. So I'm like, why is he doing this all this? You were not doing this the whole year and change. We were working out together, not together, but in the same vicinity of each other. And now you're doing all these horrible tactics. Why are you? It's almost like he was trying to humiliate me. I'm like, why is he doing this? That's why I made the reference of Helga Pataki. And it was out of nowhere because he was not doing that stuff before. They're going to gaslight and make this false narrative like, oh, it's because he didn't want you, huh? I was working out with him for a year, not with him, but in the same vicinity as him for a year and change, and I wasn't having angry reactions because he wasn't doing anything to me. He actually gave me his number, remember? And I didn't use it. You know full well that's not what it is. So anyways, so now he does a thing with her, right? I made the video. And, you know, the low subtle, like, things, antagonizing things that he's doing. But the other obvious thing that he did, and everyone around noticed too, because some of the people on the outside that have a problem with me started utilizing the garbage tactic. He made it blatantly clear that he was calling me garbage. So I was on the Smith machine and I was trying this new workout. I talked about this already. My videos never, my words never change because I talk about the facts straight up, straightforward, the way that it happened. So I was doing this new workout where it's like to not explosive strength. It's supposed to just increase your, not explosive strength. I don't know if it works on explosive strength or just strength in general. But it was this workout that I had seen online, and I was looking into different stuff, trying to build my strength and also obviously trying to build my muscles and stuff. And I saw this workout where you can take the barbell and you can put it on the safety bar. So typically when you're squatting in the squat machine or in like some sort of, even if you're using the free weights and you have the safeties around, you typically put the safeties at the level that you squat at, right? So you go to the lowest level that you can squat at, and that's where you set the safeties. So if you need to bail out of the squat, you can just drop it off your back onto the safety bars. I saw this workout where you set the safety bars up, you put the barbell on the safety bars. So the barbell starts at the low level, at the lowest level that you can squat at. And then you put a bunch of weight on, as heavy as you can go. And you try to lift the weight up off of the barbell. So you get underneath the barbell, you crouch underneath it in the squatting position. And you try to get the barbell off of the safety bars with the heavy weight on it. And the reason that's difficult is because it emulates a pause squat, where you don't have the explosive strength to help you get back up, the momentum, right? You know, when you're squatting and you get down, you have the momentum of the force of you going down and bouncing back up to help you with the lift. With this type of squat, I don't know what that loud sound was. With this type of squat, there's no, you don't have the momentum to help you with the lift. So it's basically would emulate a pause squat, but even more difficult because there's no, you didn't even have like your muscles warmed up or anything. You're just getting up underneath it. And now you have to push the weight up from the floor. And so I was doing it. I had gotten to 180. I was able to do it. 180 was a struggle. I'm not going to lie. 180 started to feel like a struggle. I did it. I started, I think, at 150. And I worked my way up to 180. When I got to 190 was when I was like not able to get it up. I couldn't get it up. And then the last time I did it, I actually got it up. And then I put 200 on there. And when I put the 200 on there, I absolutely couldn't get it to budge. I started to get it, and then I collapsed down into the squat position, and it went back on the safety bar. When that happened, and when I failed it that last time, as soon as I failed the 200, he comes out with this big, huge bag of garbage. And all of a sudden, he's changing the garbage, and he's moving back and forth with the big bag of garbage. As soon as I failed the 200, the 90 was difficult, but I got it. The 185 was difficult. 180, was difficult, but I got it. But when I got to the 200 and I couldn't get it, and I kept trying and I couldn't get it, and I kind of started to get it, and then I fell down and I failed it, immediately he's changing the garbage. He goes into the back room and he comes with this big, huge ass bag of garbage. I'd never seen the man change. You know how much time I've been in there working out with him? I never saw him changing the garbage. He starts changing the garbage all of a sudden when I filled the 200. Big, huge bag of garbage, and he passed them back and forth between the bathroom and that area where the garbage is. So in my head, I'm like, no, man, this man really was insinuating that I'm garbage. So I was correct in feeling the way I did that day when he did what he did. And to validate what I'm saying, some people outside started using the tactic. Remember, they're watching me 24/7 on Island. This is like a big movie for them, an entertaining show for them. So when I leave the gym now, I notice some of the people that obviously have an issue with me. You know, you have those people that have problems with you in the targeting. I notice all of a sudden I'm walking by, the person purposely changing garbage while I'm walking by. It became this tactic on Island before I even said anything about it. So they too saw that he was insinuating that I was garbage. So anyways, y'all, all of this is building my anger up, because I'm not doing anything to you. And it's like you're doing these horrible ass tactics, low down tactics, like really horrible stuff. And it's going on for a whole month, and it's building and it's building and it's building. Because they'll pretend like I just randomly got mad and I attacked him. Oh, he didn't want me and then I just attacked. This is the crazy shit they do with the targeting. Really? So anyways, now, so it's like a whole month of him doing like little petty tactics and the big garbage thing, and that becomes a thing on Island now. And you putting the girl to bend over in front of me, and I'm squatting and seeing her private parts, basically. And now the last straw, I guess you could say the straw that broke the camel's back, right? I'm squatting. This was the day when I finally had the reaction. I thought horrible stuff about him. I'm squatting on the Smith machine, and I'm squatting, doing my thing. Again, not doing anything as like a knockback to him. That's to tell you I'm not that type of person. And that's to tell you it's not me who's holding the grudge and doing stuff. Well, all that stuff, I could see if I started doing stuff back, like petty stuff or thinking nasty stuff about him. I didn't. I was still more so like dumbfounded. Like, why is he doing this? So anyway, I'm squatting on the Smith machine now. No, I wasn't squatting. I was doing deadlifts. I was doing deadlifts this day, not squatting. I'm doing deadlifts, and deadlifts used to work them up too. When I was going super heavy, they used to do tactics anyway, like around this time when this thing started. Like, it was like something with doing the heavy deadlifts was like triggering for them. Actually, that didn't really start until after the incident with him, actually, now that I think about it. The stuff with the deadlift, it really became a thing after the incident with him. That was where I'm doing heavy deadlifts and it's like a problem. So anyway, I'm doing the deadlifts, and I was doing heavy deadlifts for a female, I guess, especially somebody that's not like a pro or a bodybuilder, like a real bodybuilder for real. I'm not a strong woman. I'm not an IFBB pro or anything like that. I'm just like an amateur bodybuilder, and at that point had only been doing it for a year and change. I've worked out off and on throughout the years, y'all. I told you I've always been athletic, but like bodybuilding the way I'm doing it now, like heavy weightlifting to the level that I'm doing it now, where I'm like literally bodybuilding, that's relatively new. That started after the targeting. So this is new to me. I'm an amateur, and I'm deadlifting heavy ass weight, but it's just, I think, genetics, motivation, determination, consistency, etc. So anyway, I don't remember what the weight was at the time. I think I was doing 300 or something like that. It was pretty heavy. But I'm trying to see myself while I'm deadlifting so that my form doesn't mess up. I'm looking at myself in the mirror, trying to see myself. You can injure yourself if you use improper form while deadlifting. And I was going super heavy. Every time I'm doing a rep, he's going in the bathroom. He just got so blatant with the strippiness he was doing. It was like a child. It was almost like it turned into like this elementary, immature type. I'm like, what are you doing? He starts going in the bathroom, running out. Going in the bathroom, running out. And he's running across in front of me. Going in the bathroom, running out. And he kept doing it, and he's like giggling and doing it. So I was like, what? I'm thinking, so what is he doing? And it was annoying too, because I'm lifting this heavy ass weight, and he had already been doing horrible stuff. I'm laughing now about it. But in the moment, it was so infuriating, especially since he had already been doing horrible stuff for the whole month. So he runs out again, and this time I finally snapped and I flipped out on him. And not out loud either. It's not like out loud. I could see if I cussed him stink out my mouth, and this is why they were doing it. It still wouldn't make sense because it's gaslighting. You saw what he did. But nonetheless, I didn't even cuss him out of my mouth. It was in my head. But of course, they can hear my thoughts. But you're gaslighting me, right? You're not hearing my thoughts. This isn't happening, right? This program isn't happening. I'm crazy, right? So to punish me to the level that you did over thoughts that I had, and you know what he was doing for the whole month, is crazy to me. 2 years of them tormenting me over that, overreacting to what he did for a whole month. And trying to validate what he was doing and validate what they did to me because of my reaction, and throwing dudes on top of me, drinking water, putting his girlfriend on top of me. Then I didn't react the way they wanted me to react to him getting the girlfriend. Then you start dissing me in the back room with the dude that was checking me out before the incident with him. And insulting me too. It's not even like he was just like bigging her up to try to get me jealous, right? Like, it's not even to say like he was just back there bigging up the girlfriend and like making her seem like this grand thing as a way to try to get a reaction out of me, the reaction they didn't get. But you were actually tearing me down too, but the thing didn't look good. So that's why I dissed him. I'm like, you're really? First of all, I saw you checking me out, but second of all, you don't look good. You really don't. don't. Your face doesn't. He had a decent body. He works out. He's consistent. I'm not a vain person. I don't care about that stuff. But it's just like, you're coming for me? And over some bullshit your friend started? This is why I'm like, this is just completely unfair. And then it's been 2 years of them tormenting me over the thing. The thing. Anyway, so, man, so when he doing all this back and forth and blocking while I'm trying to do the deadlift, this is why I finally started thinking horrible. I'm not going to repeat some of the stuff like that, but I just started thinking horrible stuff about him. Like mean stuff. It was reactive abuse. So anyway, that was what led to him disappearing out the gym, right? I noticed he kind of just paused and looked like he got basity, and then he walked like to the back of the gym, and then he left. And then he didn't come back to the gym for like a whole weekend change. Like maybe 2 weeks. I didn't see him in there. At least not while I was there. I'm sure he was coming to the gym. He's a personal trainer and stuff. But he wasn't coming while I was in there. And then when he started coming back, he slowly but surely started coming back. And he was kind of like eased off of me. He wasn't on top of me anymore. And then about a month later, he starts coming with the girlfriend. And mind you, shortly after the thing with him happened, his friends immediately hopped on top of me. And they started doing the water tactic. They're all coming around and acting like they're sipping water and watching me and just weird stuff, man. I couldn't even work out in peace anymore. So, y'all, these were the actions that were taken, right? I shouldn't have had to tell the story again because they know the story well. But if I don't sit and tell the story over and over and over and over, they'll purposely paint, like what they were just doing just now on Facebook. They'll purposely paint a false narrative about it, and they'll all go with the false narrative. And I've talked about this in prior videos, y'all. It doesn't matter what the hell the true reality is. If you have enough people, that's why they say the majority rules, pushing a false narrative, that becomes your reality because you're living in the space with these people. And this is the narrative that they're pushing. Whether that's a false narrative or not, that becomes your reality. If they all want to collaboratively get together and pretend like I'm the stinkest thing in the world, then that's going to become my reality. It doesn't matter if I smell like peaches. I'm the stink girl. It's the same thing with this don't want thing and what they're doing, this weird bullying tactic and also perpetuating this false narrative of thirst like I started with him. And like I just got angry like a crazy nut and started attacking him. If they all push it and gaslight, it becomes my reality, even if it's not true. So anyways, y'all, nightmare. I cannot get away from it. And I tried to be humble about the situation in the beginning, and then you can see the progression throughout the years of dealing with the shit, where I started getting nastier and nastier about the situation and started getting more blunt and horrible with the things I was saying. Okay, y'all. So anyways, actions speak louder than words. That's why I think I'm still going through what I'm going through. I think it's because I didn't get angry or hurt when they started bringing the girlfriend around. I think his actions didn't look good and they felt like it looked like he liked me or whatever. I think that's what it is, because I'm not saying he likes me. You're running me down and degrading and trying to humiliate me, tearing me down day in and day out. And he don't like you, you gorilla, and this one. I'm like, I'm not saying he likes me. Leave me alone. To me, that's like, it seems like you're guilty. Like, do you feel like he likes me, or do you feel like it looked like he liked me? Is that why you're doing what you're doing? Anyways, y'all, I'm tired. I told this whole story. I wanted to finish this video tomorrow. That was the intention. I wasn't planning to do that here at work. I was going to finish this video tomorrow when I get off work in my house after I rest and stuff. I'm tired of the situation, y'all. I'm tired. And I'm trying to stay up here at work. I'm not trying to sit here talking about this situation that I'm like really over. I've been over it. I'll talk about it tomorrow when I get to the house, y'all. I'll finish talking about these other points that I have here on the list that I want to talk about, and that friend that was saying the horrible stuff about me. I'll talk, because he was in the gym today acting like he walking out the back room with a bottle of water. I'm like, really? Anyway, so, and I know why he did it too, because earlier I was looking through, I didn't do this on camera, but you know I have no privacy. I was looking through my inbox and I was looking for a message from someone, and they see everything. And I was in my bathroom too, so this just it creeps me out. I wonder who they're giving access to with these cameras when I'm in the bathroom. Or maybe one of them that have access to me in the bathroom went back and told him. I don't know. But I was in my inbox just looking for a specific message. Nothing to do with him. I didn't even remember he was floating around in my inbox. I do remember he was checking me out before the incident occurred though. And I came across the message with him. And remember, I just literally yesterday made, oh, y'all don't know this. That's something else on the list that I need to talk about. Something, well, now it's after 12, so it's tricky. Y'all know I do the night shift. So even though I was making this video earlier, we're now in the next day. So the things I'm talking about, like the friend being in the gym, the friend that I'm going to talk about and go into detail about, that technically happened yesterday. So day before yesterday, the thing with the homeless man happened that I'm going to talk about too. So I feel like the reason why this guy showed up is because I was going through my inbox looking for a certain message, and I came across his message, and I said, look, you see the friend that was saying the horrible stuff about me? I just said this out loud. It wasn't a video. I wasn't recording anything. I just said it out loud. That's how I am. I talk to myself so much now that they're watching me all the time and interacting with me via noise campaign. So this thing with the homeless man happened day before yesterday, where they were trying to, again, to do like this manipulative tactic where it's almost like they're trying to validate what he did to me. For the longest time, they've been pushing white people and making it seem like it's about white people. Like he randomly, after a whole year and change of me working out with him, decided to attack me as an ode to white people. Like, that doesn't make sense. But now it's like, now they're pushing the homeless man thing, which again is gaslighting because they don't mistreat homeless people and they know full well what took place with the homeless man and the Greyhound bus and my full story. It had nothing to do with him being homeless. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about that. I don't feel like, that's why I said I'm going to finish this video tomorrow, y'all. It's like a lot to talk about, and I don't feel like talking about it right now. Anyway, so that's why I pointed out his message, though. When I was looking through the messages, I wasn't looking for his message. They know full well I wasn't. I'm not going to talk about what I was looking for and why I was looking for it. But I was looking for this message, this old message from someone else that has like a new Facebook page now. And I was just trying to see, like, I recalled being friends with him years ago and like getting a message from that person. So I was looking through to see, I know I'm not going crazy. So I was looking through my messages to find that message from that person, just random person. I'm not going to talk about him in this video. Completely irrelevant, has nothing to do with the situation, right? And I happened to come across some messages, some old ass messages from, I believe, like the beginning of 2024 from that friend that was saying all the horrible stuff at the end of 24 when the incident with the trainer guy happened. So I saw his message and I just clicked on it. I said, oh, shoot, you see the messages from the dude? I said, this is what I was talking about. He was saying all these and the reason I made sure to open it is because, remember, again, the thing's fresh in my head. They just did a tactic with a homeless man day before yesterday. I'm going to talk about it. So anyway, I was like, oh, shoot, look at all these messages. I said, I forgot he used to message me on here too, you know. I said, you see what, this is what I was talking about. I just simply made that comment. And then I came out of the message. I didn't put it on camera. I didn't make a video. But they're watching me. And I was in the bathroom. TMI, on the toilet, y'all. So I'm not feeling like the whole island is watching. I'm not thinking that they're giving the whole island access to me when I'm in the bathroom in those intimate spaces. I know they have cameras in there and they're watching me. It's creepy, but I don't think they're giving access to the whole island when I'm in the bathroom I hope not, using the toilet. So anyway, I made that comment. All of a sudden, now he's in the gym today with a bottle of water. So I think that's why he was in there. Anyway, I'm going to talk about this stuff tomorrow, y'all. I'm tired. I don't feel like continuing the video right now. I didn't feel like talking about this here. And also, the guy has friends in here at the facility. You know, a lot of his friends are correction officers. And, yeah, I just don't want to talk about this here. It's inappropriate. So I'll talk about it when I go home tomorrow. I couldn't help myself. It's like when they sent the gaslighting thing just now. I've been dealing with gaslighting about the situation for the last 2 years and them tormenting me endlessly. And me being in a whole new gym and they're still doing stuff. So I couldn't deal with that gaslighting thing they just sent on Facebook. Anyway, I'll talk about this tomorrow. I'll finish the video tomorrow. Well, today, technically, y'all. It's after 12, remember. So it's the new day. So I'll finish this later when I get off. Peace out. All right, y'all. I'm back to finish this video. Y'all, this has been like a 2-3 day saga of me trying to finish this video and talking about the same topic that I'm so tired of talking about, y'all. All right, let me try to hurry up and wrap it up like within the next, if possible, 20 minutes, y'all. You know how it is when I get into talking about these things. I can try my darndest to make it short and quick, and it still somehow culminates into me talking for like an hour and change, etc. Like, I don't know how that happens. It's just so many things happening at once, all the time, every minute of my day. Harassment, antagonization, etc. But when I actually sit down and start making these videos, it's just like, it's almost like therapy, but also too, it's just like so much to get off my chest. It's like I end up talking for an hour and change, sometimes 2 hours, 3 hours. I don't want that to be the case this time. So let me try to hurry up, y'all. All right, so I was talking about his actions versus mine and why I think they're still continuing on with that specific part of the targeting. Because in the grand scheme of things, that was such an irrelevant part of my targeting. Why did it become this main staple and this main driving force in the targeting? And they started doing these low down tactics to humiliate me. Like, it's now they're trying to do this thing where they're making it seem like it's just a part of all the other things that they're doing, like perpetuating the false narrative from the text message and just antagonizing me in general. Because, you know, this is what the theme or the basis of my targeting is. If you've been keeping up with my videos, y'all, and my story and my channel, you'll know that the basis of my targeting is bearing false witness. I sent a text message in 2020. When I graduated from college, I moved home, got in a fight with the people in my household, and I thought that they were doing to me something that was happening to me in the States in some Airbnbs I had stayed in. If you listen to my full story, y'all, you'll know what I'm talking about. I dealt with that situation for half a year, and they all knew about it. Everyone in my close circle. So when the big fight in the household happened, they kind of started moving different with me. And then I started noticing things at night. Or it could have just been PTSD and trauma, but I wasn't having that issue before. I was on island for about a month or two before this thing happened. Maybe 3 months before this thing happened where we had the big fight. And then I sent the text message that I sent. So anyway, in the text message, I didn't accuse them of anything. I asked a question. I sent this big, long, stupid text. Listen to my story, y'all. I don't want to go off on a tangent. But nonetheless, I insinuated that they might have been doing to me what had happened in the Airbnbs. And I asked them if they were... I said, I know y'all wouldn't gaslight me, right? I didn't say they were gaslighting me. I didn't accuse them. I didn't say, how could you gaslight me? How could you do this? I asked a question. If anything, you could say I made an insinuation. And though insinuating something is similar to bearing false witness or making an accusation, it's not synonymous. It's in the same word family, but it's not synonymous and it's not the same thing. They're making it like that was bearing false witness, and then they're tying it in with the thing that happened with the cyberstalking, cyberbullying guy. Because remember, around the time when the thing started with the text message, I was living in the neighborhood with his family, and his family was getting involved in the gang stalking. My dad was actually in the bush with his dad one night when they were using a tactic on me, when they took the electricity while I was bathing. And I had a mask on my face. And all then I never made a video, you know. 2 years I was dealing with that activity. I tried to relocate off island, and then I came back home, realized I was a target, started making videos to advocate for myself. And then I told my life story, and I talked about that situation because it actually tied into the targeting. They gaslit me for years about that too, y'all. Made it seem like I was just attacking the man for no reason. And look, anytime I'm making a good point, my mom, the person in my close circle, interrupts the video. It never fails. Every time I'm making a good point, she's going to interrupt the video. Anyways, y'all, crazy. Come to find out there were bets going and stuff like that. Recently, when the thing with this man from the gym's girlfriend happened, and they were trying to take digs at me to hurt me, they started making insinuations about bets, etc. Like, there were bets apparently going, like, even before the targeting, when these dudes used to be trying to reach out, right? Like I told you, like setups, actual setups. They were like emulating what I guess you could say accused him of. I accused him of setting me up. And then for years, it was me dealing with people trying to set me up, guys trying to set me up here on island. And they knew about it, and they played me for a fool for 2 years, had me going through hoops, tormented me, trying to explain myself about the situation, and they knew full well it was happening. Anyways, y'all, whatever. So nonetheless, though, y'all, that's the basis of the targeting, as I'm going off on a tangent, is bearing false witness. And so they push all these false things at me as some sort of retribution. None of the times where I bared false witness, and if you listen to my story, y'all, the only time that I truly did bear false witness was with the cyberstalking, cyberbullying guy over a decade ago. Any of the recent things that I said that I wasn't sure about, I made insinuations, not accusations. Even with the roommate, where I was talking about how strange this thing is, right? The fact that, like, this thing attached itself to me and I hadn't committed a crime. It's this high science thing that attaches itself to you. So before you learn about the technology and how high science this thing is, and the day and time that we're in, you might think it's witchcraft because some of the stuff they're doing is so freaking astronomically strange. And it's like, how are they doing this? How are they hearing my thoughts? How do they know where I'm going? How am I clicking on different videos, and every video I click on seems to have subliminal messaging? If you don't know about this stuff and you don't learn about this program, you're going to think it's something spiritual going on. You might think witchcraft, especially if you grew up on an island where folklore is a common thing and you grew up with a grandmother who told you stories about witchcraft. In fact, I still think something's going on. I'm not going to lie to you. Anyway, nonetheless, whatever, right? So I didn't accuse that roommate, but understand what my train of thought was when I felt like witchcraft had been done on me. It's because I'm dealing with this weird ass situation with all this high science technology and I didn't know about it. I wasn't privy to it. So to me, it felt spiritual. And so I'm thinking back to the people that I've dealt with in my life and who I pissed off and who I had stuff with. And she was one of those people. I didn't accuse her. I didn't say she did witchcraft on me or make like a hardcore ironclad accusation. And I never called her name either or said who she was. I made an insinuation. So I talked about the things that took place in the apartment when my sister and I were staying with her. And I talked about some of the strange occurrences. And then I talked about why I thought that witchcraft could have been at play. So it was an insinuation, not an accusation. It's not synonymous. It's not the same thing. I didn't say she did witchcraft on me. Y'all, I started going off on a tangent again. Nonetheless, to get back to the point, that's not what this thing with this man from the gym is. They keep trying to use every excuse under the freaking sun other than bringing Jesus Christ back himself as an excuse for what was done. They're making it seem like it's about white people. Then they're making it seem like it's about a homeless people. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And now they're trying to, like, I noticed in these last few days, push, like, do this thing with the technology where they're hinting to me it's about the bearing false witness. None of that is making sense to me. Why wasn't he doing those things when I first got into the gym is what I'm saying. Why did it become this aggressive, like, what felt like humiliating attack, like you're trying to humiliate me just then when this name is popping in my head and I can't control it? I was being mannerful. I was being respectful. I hadn't said anything disrespectful. I hadn't watched a man cross it. In fact, around the time when it started happening, I could tell that they thought that it was happening because I liked the Italian guy. I could tell that's what it was because I remember making a video about it. Because I remember the Italian guy all of a sudden when I'm walking into the gym, he's coming out of the gym and he had on like this blue outfit. I don't know, it looked like one of them throwback type outfits. And he walked by smiling at me while he's walking super fast. And so I could tell that they were probably trying to like position him in this way. Like they thought that I liked him. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, so they think that his name ticking in my head means that I like him. And so I even remember back then explaining that that's not what was going on and that it was due to anxiety. And anybody that makes me feel anxious, typically my brain will start ticking around them, whether it be that their name is popping in my head or other things, whatever it is that makes me anxious about you. With him, it was just a name. I heard his name and it just kept popping in my head. I'm popping in my head. I'm popping in my head. So I think that's what the perception was, though. I think they thought I liked him because I knew that guy's name, too. Remember, I had gotten his number and I saved it under his name. I knew his name and his name was never popping in my head. But that's because he didn't make me feel anxious. Whereas with the Italian guy, there was a level of anxiety there. So that's why the name was popping in my head. But nonetheless, I believe that's what the perception was back then. It wasn't a negative thing. Like they felt like I was being a bad person or disrespectful or some sort of like racist thing or prejudice thing because his name is popping in my head. Although it was due to race sensitization and my anxiety about that. Even though I had been working out around the man for a year and change. That's really what it was. It was still just the anxiety of that element. But the way they were moving when the thing started happening, you could tell they thought it was because I liked him. So anyways, so I don't understand what the attack was about. You're trying to make it like it's about white people, as if I were doing something prejudiced in the moment when the tick happened. That's not what was going on. I literally just heard his name and then it just started popping in my head and I couldn't control it. And they had heard this happen many times before with different people. Like I said, the secretary, it happened with. And it happened with this guy I used to do security with at a different location, a different post. And multiple other people actually come to think of it throughout the years on a minor scale. So this was not the first time that somebody's name was popping in my head and I couldn't control it. It's typically somebody that makes me feel anxious. Or there's some sort of anxiety attached to that person. So for him to start getting as nasty as he did and doing the horrible stuff he started doing for a whole month, it was almost like he was trying to humiliate me. They're trying to make it be about everything under the sun. So anyway, nonetheless, right? Whatever. I don't care. I'm over the situation. I've said that already. It's just the fact that they won't let me move on from the situation. It's like, he started with me first for a whole month. So that's what that day where I thought the mean things was about. So you trying to hurt me. It's like this campaign to hurt me. That's the other thing. They keep hinting with the technology that they want me to hurt, or they're trying to hurt me. Why are you trying to hurt me over a reaction I had to him trying to hurt me? It was like this random attack out of nowhere. I had been working out with the man for a whole year and change. And so I had one reaction. One day I thought, I'm human. After a whole month of you doing terrible stuff. One day I thought horrible stuff, and you feel embarrassed for one day on the cameras, but you for a whole month acting the fucking fool. And now I have to suffer for it? Like, I'm already dealing with enough. That's such an irrelevant part. That shouldn't even be a part of my targeting. Why is that something that's still a part of the I shouldn't even still be targeted, first of all. But second of all, that definitely shouldn't be anything that they're honing in on or focusing on. If it were really about white people, you would just make it about white people. And all you would be presenting was the purple and those things like that. Things that hinted to racism and prejudice. No, you're trying to hurt me. You're bringing up stuff about recording me having intercourse in my apartment with my ex-boyfriend years ago. You're doing this thirsty tactic as some sort of retribution for this man. And you're trying to tear me down every day. And trying to degrade and humiliate me and make me have a warped sense of self. This is becoming about this man. It's not about the stuff you're pretending it's about. Anyway, so y'all, so let me go over to this list here. By the way, y'all, there was something I was saying in the last clip about the bearing false witness that I wanted to finish saying with the roommate. What was I? It was something else I wanted to clear up. I can't remember what it was. It's irrelevant anyway, y'all. I don't want to, that's kind of a tangent. I'm just trying to tell you the different excuses they keep throwing at me for why he did what he did and try to validate what he did and validate what they have done over the last 6 months. It's not making sense. If I had just gotten into the gym and he was doing the things that he did to me randomly a whole year and change later, and then they tried to present these different things, then I would be like, okay, well, damn, that's what's going on, whatever. It still would have been gaslighting, but okay, whatever. It's the fact that it was just like at random. It was like I had been working out with him for a whole year and change, and that wasn't happening. And then all of a sudden this name thing starts popping in my head and he starts acting the fool for a whole month. And then you're trying to make it be about these things that happened before I got in the gym. Why now? Why a year and change later? It's just not making sense. So anyways, y'all, whatever. I don't care. I keep saying I don't care at this point. I don't care what the particulars are. I don't care what the semantics are. I don't give a shit. My point is at this point now, leave me alone. Because he started with me first. I had a reaction. I apologized for the reaction I had. He never apologized to me for the things he did. In fact, he felt emboldened because I'm targeted and so I'm always considered wrong. Even when somebody's dead wrong. Something right here on the job just happened. I wanted to talk about this too. Not this morning. It was the last time I worked. You have different people who come into the facility in the morning, y'all. I work the night shift. Remember I told y'all it's actually technically a morning shift because my shift starts at 12 a.m. and it ends at 8 a.m. But that's the graveyard shift. You're working in the darkness at nighttime, right? In the morning, I have to handle the gate and I have to open the gate and close the gate and allow the different people to come in and out of the facility. At that hour, you're not really getting visitors. You might get like a few vendors coming through. But for the most part, it's just like a huge amount of workers coming in, different facility workers coming in. And sometimes you might, like I said, have vendors or some sort of outside person that's coming in, but I have to handle that. And there's procedures you have to follow. We have a whole log sheet where we have to write the person's name. We have to write the ID, excuse me, not the ID, the plate number. And we have to write what their purpose for coming into the facility is. So if you're somebody that I know, I'm not going to stop you. But if I don't know you, I have to stop you. I have to ask you for your ID. I have to ask you if you have any drugs or weapons in the vehicle, etc., etc. These are all things that are, it's not complicated. It's simple, but it's not as easy as I make it look. This is something that you have to get used to doing, especially with the influx of traffic that comes in the morning. There's a certain point where there's a bunch of cars coming in back to back to back to back into the gate, and they don't want to stop. They want to just fly through. And so you start to, when you work this shift, you start to remember plate numbers, you start to remember names. If you're smart, you're going to start doing that so that your job is easier. You start remembering names, etc. And you have to be cognizant of what's going on. You have to pay attention to the gate and open the gate in time, etc., etc. Every morning I'm opening the gate on time, y'all. I'm not meaning to go off on a tangent. I'm just trying to show you another example. I've talked about this in prior videos. Like what happened 6 months ago when the whole thing started with the man. Again, it started up again. It's been happening. It hasn't stopped. They're holding on to the thing with this man from the gym and his girlfriend. But when the incident occurred with his girlfriend about 6 months ago, remember around that time some things had occurred with someone in my close circle, a relative of mine as well, where she did some things that she was dead wrong for. And they purposely pretended like I was wrong in the situation. Another relative of mine too, he had done something that was completely dead wrong, and they were pretending like I was wrong in the situation there too. Anyway, so back to what I'm saying though. So I have to deal with the gate in the morning, and it's very hectic. It's like I make it look easy, but it's very hectic. So anyways, the traffic's coming through this morning, and I happen to be writing down, a bunch of them came through. This was one of those moments where a bunch of them came through. And every time that happens and I get all the names and the plates, I am getting everything, y'all. I'm not just writing worker or whatever. I'm writing the name of the person. I'm writing the plate number. And I'm writing what their purpose in the facility is. And I get it done. I write it down real quick. They're always making going chirp, chirp with the birds and whatever. When I get all the names, when it's like 10 of them that drove in back to back to back. And I get all the plates, the names, and whatever their intent is, typically just write worker, whatever their purpose is for coming into the facility. Anyway, so this morning now, a bunch of cars came through, similar to what happens every morning. And I was in the middle of writing down the names and stuff. I let them all through, and there was like a break in the traffic. And so I just went to write down the name. I saw from my peripheral this guy drive up. Typically, I'm so quick with it though. Before they even drive up, I'm opening the gate. So they're just driving through. They don't even really have to wait at the gate. So this guy, I guess he got spoiled, because if you were dealing with someone else, you probably would have had to wait at the gate. People aren't necessarily moving as quick as I move on this post. Some do if they get, like I said, efficient enough and you've been doing it long enough. But you have to wait. I'm a human. Sometimes you're going to have to wait. He didn't even have to wait though, y'all. It's not like he was sitting there for a good while waiting at the gate. I saw him from my peripheral. I'm always paying attention to the gate. I saw him from my peripheral drive up, and I said, let me just finish writing this name down, because it was a big influx of cars that had come through the gate, about 10 of them. And I got all the names, the plates, and what their intent or purpose for coming into the facility was. But I'm still finishing writing down what I was writing down. So I see him from my peripheral pull up, and I'm at the tail end of writing down the plate number for the last car that had come through right before he came. He just pulled up. He immediately beeps the horn. Like it's like crying for you to pull up and see the gate closed. He immediately beeped the horn and then didn't even give me a chance to hit the button. Then he presses the horn and lays on the horn. So I remember looking up like, what is his issue? And I know, he comes in every morning. He never has to wait at the gate. And you just pulled up. It's not even to say like you were sitting there waiting for a while. You just pulled up. So I remember I opened the gate and he come in and he watched me in this kind of way, he glared at me and spat in like I did something incredulous. I could see if I was sitting back being whatless and looking at my phone and not paying attention to the gate, and he was sitting there for a while, and then that were the actions that he took. You just pulled up at the gate, and I'm finishing writing down the tail end of 10 cars that drove through the gate back to back. Jesus Christ, wait. You never have to wait. Every time you come in the morning, the gate is open. One morning, you met the gate closed. You didn't even give me a second to open it. It felt personal. It felt like it was something else going on. Like either he's having a bad day or you're having some sort of issue with me or something. I didn't really understand what that moment was, because I've never had a problem with him before. Ever. Anyway. So So I remember immediately, though, after that happened, I started crowing. I started complaining. It's not like I was acting irate. I didn't use any curse words. But I did start to complain. Like, what the heck was that? The birds are going chirp, chirp, and chirping softly because they're seeing through my eyes and they're watching everything. Trust me, they're on it. They are watching everything. They saw what happened. They're chirping soft, chirp, chirp. Usually when they think I'm wrong about something, they'll dive the fly in my face or they'll do something aggressive. They know I was not wrong in that situation. Anyway, as soon as I leave work now, I'm driving on the road. Of course, you have people that are biased and subjective. I keep saying this. And so anything that pops off, they're ready to hop on top of me. Immediately, I noticed there's a car. I don't know if that was a hired gang stalker or just one of these people that have a problem with me. I'm listening to my earphones and I'm just watching a show or whatever. And it said something about angry or mad. And the person revved by super hard. I'm just like, they keep gaslighting and throwing this adjective about me being this angry, mad, aggressive person. But anytime I'm having an aggressive reaction or an angry reaction, it's just that, a reaction. Do you know nobody has ever described me as being angry or aggressive prior to the targeting? Like, anyone that knows me from the past would laugh at me being called aggressive or angry. I'm known as the jolly giant amongst the people that I used to be close to. Out of my siblings and I'm the most laid back one, the most chill one. I always have been. It takes the most to get me upset. That's what used to get my sisters mad when they got in fights with me back in the day before my targeting. Because we'll be getting in a fight and I'm done. Like I said what I said, I feel like I made my point. Kind of reminded me of the situation with the man from the gym, but I feel like I made my point, so I don't care anymore. And you're pissed because I feel like I'm not arguing back with you anymore and I don't seem as upset as you. So it would hit me. Both of my sisters, this used to be the way we used to fight, like especially my older sister though. She gets so mad and she said it just annoyed her that I felt like I was right and that like I don't care. Like I don't seem affected. She would hit me. I don't get angry like that. This is relatively new within the last 6 years. Y'all, you know I've been targeted for 6 years since 2020 of being tortured all day long, dealing with unfair treatment, infringement of human rights, no privacy. Duh, of course I'm angry. And of course it would seem like I'm being aggressive or cranky. I'm constantly being attacked. I have the whole island staring at me. I haven't committed a crime. I'm being tortured all day long. Also, they hit me off and on with energy weapons. That also affects mood. It's a frequency. Of course I'm acting angry and aggressive. But that's not relative to somebody that's being obnoxious. That needs to wait at the gate in the morning and understand that I'm a human and not a robot. I had a right to be upset. It's not like I started cussing and going on sick like, you stink, blah, blah. I did act upset though, and I did say some stuff, but I didn't cuss him stink. It wasn't one of those moments like in the gym where they're all hopping on top of me and doing whatever bullying tactics they were doing, and I started just going off and really saying mean, nasty, off-cap stuff. Which again, reaction. But that's not what it was in this moment. I was actually right. So anyway, I'm not meaning to go off on a tangent, y'all, but this is just like another example. Why did I say, there's a reason why I started saying that, y'all. Let me stop the clip and listen back, y'all, so I can understand why I started going off about that. I know the point I was making was that as a target, you can be as right as rain. You could be right and they can know that you're right, but they subjectively, those that are involved that have an issue with you will still subjectively go against the grain and purposely, not go against the grain, go with the grain, really go siding what you would be going against the grain, but go with the grain and just pretend like you're wrong in the situation. They know full well you're not wrong. Anyway, y'all, there's a reason why I went off on that tangent though. Let me hurry up and I want to finish this video. Actually, the whole reason I'm even doing it here at work, y'all, because I was planning to finish this video when I get home. I know you know it's been days of me making this video. If you've gotten to this point in the video, you've heard that it's been like multiple days of me trying to finish this video. What's happening is I don't feel like making it. I'm over the situation. And when I get the energy to talk about it, I try to put it together and finish the video, but there's so much to talk about. And then eventually there's a person that lives in the household with me that keeps interrupting my videos. You just heard her in the last clip. So when she gets home, it's like a wrap. I can't comfortably it's only certain videos she does that with, where I'm making a good point about something that's happening. I notice it's like a tactic. She'll keep interrupting the video. If it's one of these other miscellaneous videos I'm making, I could sit there and talk my head off until I pass out. She's not going to interrupt me. So anyways, y'all, the only reason I'm continuing on right now, because I was, again, going to wait until I got home. It's another night that I'm here at work trying to finish a video. It's something that just took place here at work. I don't want to go off on a tangent, y'all, because I'm going off on a tangent again. The whole thing I was talking about just now about them, always acting like I'm wrong in situations where they know I'm right and it's due to targeting. That became a tangent. Me telling you that story that happened the other day at work, but it was something I wanted to talk about and get off my chest. But I want to stop the video and see what led to that tangent, what led to me talking about that. But it's reminding me of why I started working on the video right now in the first place. I'm sitting here at work because I mentioned energy weapons. That's what reminded me. Let me just quickly say this. I'm sitting here at work now. I wasn't planning to work on the video again. Another night, I wasn't planning to work on the video here. I was going to do it when I got home tomorrow. Well, in the morning. Not tomorrow. Remember, it's 12 a.m. So I get off at 8 a.m. So technically today, later. I'm just sitting here as usual. Look how the bird's going ham now. Listen. Y'all heard the bird drone going ham by the window because they know what I'm about to talk about. It's like another wassy moment. Like, why? What is the issue? So I'm sitting here and there's this like trivial channel I follow on, I think it's Facebook or YouTube, where they ask like all these trivial questions, and some of it is like stuff you learned years ago, like geography, basic geography, or I wouldn't even say basic because I don't want to use the term jargon. It's not like it's specific to any profession, but if you're not somebody that's into like reading up on like different locations in the world and stuff, and you're not into geography, you might not remember that stuff. Like, this is stuff we probably learned in high school. But I like that type of stuff. I'm interested in looking at the map. Actually, I wanted to be somebody that traveled. That's why I'm upset that I'm locked down and tied down and targeted. I wanted to be somebody that traveled to different places. I'm interested in geography, etc. I like reading. So I know about maps and stuff. I know about geography, and I know about, different continents in the world, etc. and different countries. So there's, like I said, this trivial channel that I follow, and they ask you these different questions, and it's fun just sitting there and testing yourself and seeing, do I know the answer? Do I know the answer? So I've been playing the game off and on when they send it to me. Like, when you slide through Reels or you're on TikTok, similar to TikTok, you know how Facebook Reels works, or even YouTube Reels. It's the same thing where you're sliding through these little mini videos, and sometimes that channel will pop up and it'll be like, maybe a 2 to 3 minute clip of them asking these two different people, contestants, these questions, and they're competing against each other trying to get the answer to the question. And so I'm playing along with them while I'm watching it. Of course, everyone's watching me. So anyways, they started asking earlier. I was playing it at the house too, and I was getting pretty close to, a lot of the answers I was getting correct. So then they sent me some villain with a big brain or whatever it was. So anyway, I'm sitting here now, and I'm just answering the questions. I'm just playing along, just having fun. It's trivial questions, y'all. Like, freaking, what countries does the equator run through? That's what the question was. And so on the screen, they'll show you a different region in the world, I guess, to help you out. And then you have to name the countries. But before they put the region of the world on the screen, I was already kind of getting the answer to these questions. So like for South America, I knew it was Colombia and Brazil, but I missed Ecuador, I think. And then they moved over to Africa, and I pretty much guessed almost all of the continents. I said Democratic Republic. I said the Republic of Congo. I missed Gabon, but I said Equatorial Guinea, and Equatorial Guinea is like this small little portion of this small little country that's almost, you could say, landlocked. Almost. It's not landlocked, but it would almost seem like it's landlocked, and it's in the upper left-hand corner of Gabon. So I said Equatorial Guinea. I was wrong, but I was very close with that one. It's like right above the equator. And I said Kenya. Kenya was there. And then I missed, instead of Equatorial Guinea, it was some islands off the coast of Equatorial Guinea, Principe. So anyway, like, just like nerdy, like trivial geography type stuff. It's not a big deal. So I got the answers correct for the most part. And then they moved over to Southeast Asia. And they were looking at those islands over there, and the guy guessed the Maldives. And I was like, I think it's either going to be like Papua New Guinea or one of those islands like that in that area. I couldn't figure out which island it was that was missing, because he was saying one island was missing, and he was showing the line through the islands, but he's not putting the name of the islands. Remember, I told you on the screen, he'll show a picture of the region. And so the guy was trying to figure out what small island aside from the Maldives in that area was the equator going through. And so for me, I'm thinking about the area and I thought Papua New Guinea, that looks very close to Papua New Guinea. Anyway, it turns out it was some country called Kiribati, and Papua New Guinea is like right above. So I was very close, similar to Equatorial Guinea. It was right above the equator. But nonetheless, I'm bored. I'm sitting here doing a security job. It's fun. They start doing mean stuff. Like, because I got those answers correct, I could see if I was answering like Albert Einstein type questions. Believe it or not, this is basic geography. It's just that these are things that not everyday people keep up with. You know, you learn this stuff in elementary school, middle school. You don't keep up with it unless you're into that type of stuff or you're somebody that travels a lot. You might know like the basic areas around the world and etc., but you're not, especially when it comes to the different continents, nobody's expecting you to know the countries. If you know it, cool, kudos to you. It's not a big deal. So anyways, they start doing mean stuff. Like, I went outside to spit. I'm always spitting here, off and on, in the grass, y'all. I deal with sinuses and the AC stuffs me up. So it's like I spit a lot when I'm here on this post. I'm not going to lie. Not like a lot. But off and on, I do have to get up, open the door, and I go over the banister and I spit in the grass. I'm dealing with, I know it's a TMI, y'all, but like post-nasal drip. I have sinus issues and the AC in here is just really stuffy, and so it clogs me up, and I find myself having to get up off and on throughout the shift and, you know, try to clear my throat, spit in the grass or whatever. I do this every time I'm on shift. They're not chirping like I need to leave. I open the door, they start chirping. Like, they do that when they're trying to be mean, like insinuating I need to leave. So I remember at first I'm just giggling, like, okay, why are they doing this? I'm like, you're insinuating I need to leave because I answered some geography questions? I said, really? They start chirping the bird. I just roll my eyes. I'm like, whatever. I sit down. They start hitting me with the energy weapon and sending mean stuff with the technology. Like, you know how they can send a subliminal messaging with the technology? You know, it's sending stuff coming from my self-esteem, as usual. I'm like, okay. So then I put on a show. I go over to Amazon Prime and I put on one of these law shows that I like to watch. Talking about the dude was 34, so he happens to be my age. He got stabbed up brutally. He's bleeding out. He keeps saying he felt, you know, the investigators were there, the police and stuff, and the ambulance. And he kept telling them he felt like he was, you know, the word. And eventually he did, you know what? God forbid I rebuke that in the name of Jesus Christ, in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. But anyway, so he's, you know, the man is bleeding out. He got stabbed viciously. They're chirping the bird super loud for him getting stabbed out and bleeding out. And they're humming my ears out. They're hitting my head with the energy weapon. This is why I'm always angry. Y'all, I just started writing a poem about this same thing, about attack with no reason for the violence. Whatever the lyrics are. You're going to hear it. I'm going to post it when I'm finished with it, y'all. But just talking about these unprovoked attacks, man. And how unfair targeting is anyway when you haven't committed a crime and you get like locked into this torture program. Anyway, so that's what led to me starting to try to finish the video here at work. So I know this is another tangent. Trust me, I'm going to stop the video and listen to what led to the first tangent I went on, where I was talking about you can be right in situations and they'll know it, those that have an issue with you, but because they're subjective and biased and they refuse to look at things objectively, it's just like, I don't like that bitch, oh well. She's right, but I don't like her, so oh well. You have to deal with like this unfair treatment. Anyway, so that was the tangent I went off on, and I said I was going to stop the video and look at why I started talking about that. But then I started remembering that I didn't even want to make this video at work. I wanted to finish it at home. And I remembered also mentioning the energy weapon, them hitting me with the energy weapon when I was talking about them, you know, perpetuating me as this angry person. And I started talking about dealing with torture nonstop. And so then you deal with a situation where you were right and you have a right to be upset. Immediately, oh, it's the angry girl again. I was never classified as an angry person, nor was I classified as somebody that was messy, nor was I classified as somebody that talked a lot or made videos. Nobody knew what was going on with me prior to the targeting. I was in numerous relationships that never touched social media. Nobody knew what was going on with me. My own sisters used to laugh and say, you know, they're telling me everything. And when I'm ready, I divulge certain info to them. I'm a very private person. Anyways, y'all, I had to just vent about that, though, because that's what led to me starting the video here and trying to finish it here at work, because I don't want to do it here at work. I really don't. I just couldn't believe they started hitting me with the energy weapon and doing all this immature stuff and insinuating, that I need to be stabbed because I answered some trivial geography questions. I could see if I were answering some like Einstein level type questions, like physics or something like that, or calculus, and then you came through and was like getting, even still, it's just like, why is that upsetting you? But still, I could see if that were agitating you. Trivial geography questions? Anyways, y'all. All right. I'm going to look at what led to me going off on the initial tangent, and I'll come back and finish. And I think I'm going to finish it tomorrow. I really just wanted to document what just happened at work, because I couldn't believe they were doing what they were doing because I answered some geography questions. This is what I've been dealing with for the last few months, man. Just activity like that is just not fair. Anyway, I'll be back. Okay, y'all. It's much later in the day, and I'm here to continue the video. Of course, I've dealt with a lot of manipulative gang stalking, gaslighting bullshit, right? Since I made the last video, it's constantly all day long them interacting with me, right? This is a big show for the island, a big fake show for the island, entertainment for the island. That's what it's really about, right? That's not what it's about, but that's what it's turned into, a circus act. Anyway, just know the video might end because there's this big project going on outside now. Ever since I started making this video, documenting some of the things that's taken place and stating the facts very clearly and making sense. What's happened is like there's this big project going on outside now where there's like this loud noise campaign all day long, so I can't make my video or finish my video. So I'm gonna talk as much as I can, and then once the noise starts, because it will start again, I'll stop and finish the video. So y'all, I realized why I went off on a tangent. I was talking about this man from the gym and how they know he's dead wrong in this situation, but because I'm targeted and I've said offensive things in reaction to abuse, that's the reason why they will side with him. Similar to this coworker that was acting obnoxious at my job the other morning, where I told you he was acting obnoxious, and immediately they hopped on me when I got on the road because I've shared offensive content due to abuse in my targeting. You have to understand, it's this manipulative thing they do. You don't have a history of sharing offensive stuff, right? You've never been a problematic person. You don't have a history of getting into trouble with people or offending people. But you get thrown in this program out of spite. You start being abused, antagonized, harassed, stalked, surveilled 24/7. And then you start having egregious reactions. Most targets fall victim to the program. It's a very efficient program, and they've been crafting it for decades, y'all. It's human nature to respond adversely to being abused, especially if you haven't done anything wrong and you're being surveilled and antagonized all day long. Because that's what happened, y'all. I was here for 2 years on island. If you listen to my story, I kept saying that in the last clip, y'all. Listen to my story. Listen to my story. Y'all, look at starting now. Look at starting now. So I'll finish. I'll be back, y'all. Trust me, I will be back. But listen, this is good documentation, though. Listen to the noise campaign. So it's this big project going on outside now. Not that I'm making these videos, these clips. This whole video is a video, but it's a compilation of clips. And I'm making sense. It's noise campaign to shut me up. You understand the tactic? When you make sense and you can knock down the bullshit, then it's noise campaign to shut you up. I'll be back, though. I have a lot to talk about. Anyways, y'all, back again. So that's what the tangent was, though, y'all. Just talking about the fact that you have multiple enemies when you get targeted because you've likely had egregious reactions to the abuse and the illegal surveillance, antagonization, harassment, etc. You likely have multiple enemies or people that have, you might not even be beefing with the person, but the person beefing with you and have a big problem with you, but people that have issues with you, right? So anyways, that's how it works. So they can see that you're right in a situation and they'll full throttle, support the other person just because they think you're a bitch or they have a problem with you. Instead of looking at the thing objectively like, okay, what she said was horrible, but this was a reaction to abuse. She was being stalked by thousands of people and she hadn't committed a crime. This was clearly some sort of reaction. There's no objectivity to it, y'all. It's just straight subjective, biased emotions and unhinged revenge plots and y'all. Anyway, so I went to the gym today, right? Because I am going to continue the video. So that was the tangent I went off on in the last clip, y'all, why I started talking about the the obnoxious like thing that happened with this person that was coming in the gate the other morning at work, and how immediately the gang stalkers that have a problem with me started doing ref campaign outside in support of this person, even though they were wrong. It's the same thing that happened with this man from the gym. Anyways, y'all, so let me tell you what happened today, because now more activity has happened. And then I'm going to go over to the text message that I have with the points that I want to talk about, because there are like 3 more points that I want to talk about before I finally close this video off. So after making these clips, y'all, they know full well I'm making sense. They were even making noises with the bird, right? To confirm that I'm making sense. Look, they're chirping again, confirming that I'm making sense. I go to my new gym today now. Of course, the owner greeted me friendly as usual. That typically happens, though. He's now actually using my name. So that feels more, it feels less impersonal, and it feels more, it feels more welcoming when he says, hey, Sharifa. You know, it's just like when you use somebody's name, and trust me, I know, because I've looked up social how-to videos, because I'm not good at socializing and I'm an introvert. When I was in my early 20s, I used to look up social how-to videos and how to socialize, etc. Like, it's that bad, y'all. I have Asperger's. So you can imagine if you're somebody that's socially inept and you get thrown in this program, you don't know how to get out of it. All I can do is be honest and real and talk about what's happening. I'm good at defending myself. I could be a lawyer, but I'm not good at socializing with people, and I never have been. But anyways, I used to look up social how-to videos in my early 20s, and I saw one of the things that will make somebody feel comfortable with you is if you use their name in the conversation or when you're greeting them. So I don't know if he learned that over time just from socializing with people, or if he saw that in the same video I saw it in, but it works. Him saying my name makes me feel more comfortable and more welcome, because I'm very anxious every time I go in there. Anyway, so I keep feeling like, okay, everything's going to be okay. And then I get down there and it's some gang stalking bullshit. Like, it's just like constantly some gang stalking bullshit, y'all. But, you know, it would be one thing if it were just specifically about the offensive stuff I shared in my car, right? In Florida, about white people. Again, that doesn't make sense for them to be doing this to me, because it was a reaction to abuse. And you utilize the people that create the content and who share the content on a daily basis and who have been sharing it for years. You utilize them as gang stalkers in the targeting. So that's not what this is about. And even before I tried to relocate off island, before I shared the offensive content, you were doing this to me. That's why I tried to relocate. For 2 years, you were surveilling and harassing and antagonizing me. And I tried to have conversations with the people in my close circle about what was going on. I kept saying, I know this is about the text message. Can we talk about it? What text? What bullshit are you talking about? This was constantly the response. And so this was what led to me eventually just trying to relocate. Anyway, so nonetheless, it's not about that. Yes, that's partially why I have more enemies. And that's why the targeting has worsened. Duh, I'm not stupid. But that's not what this is about. And that's not why that man in the gym did what he did, because he would have been doing it from the time I stepped my foot in the door. Why would you start doing it randomly a year and change later? That doesn't make sense. And they know good well that doesn't make sense. See the noise starting up now that I'm making sense? You see how it starts up as soon as I start making good points? You see how the noise starts as soon as I start making good points? Now all of a sudden grass is being cut. It went from the gate being operated on to grass being cut. Do you see what's done every time I make sense, y'all? Okay? Anyway, so it's not making sense. If from the time I put my foot into that gym, he had been doing that activity, like bringing girls to bend down in front of me and doing horrible stuff and insinuating I'm trash and all this horrible stuff, from the time I got into the gym, then I would be like, okay, that's why he's doing this. It's as a knockback for white people and some of the offensive things I've shared during the targeting. Why would he be moving good with me the whole time, to the point where he even gave me his number and asked me to go on a hike? Whether that was genuine or not, oh well. The point is, I'm not thirsty because I did not go on the hike, and I never used the number. That's point number 1. And point number 2, he wasn't being nasty and mean to me, is what I'm trying to show you. It was to the point where he actually even asked me on a hike. Now, a year and change later, you're insinuating I'm trash. You're bringing females to bend down in front of me and all this horrible stuff because this man's name is ticking into my head. It's not making sense. And you know it's not. Stop capping. Anyway, so nonetheless, right? And understand too, right? They're definitely going to get white people to hop on board because I offended them. Y'all, look at noise campaign now. Look at noise campaign now. Look at noise campaign because I'm making sense. Look at noise campaign now because I'm making sense. Look at noise campaign now because I'm making sense. The actions that he took were not those of someone that was trying to avenge white people. You're bringing your girlfriend around me and sticking her on top of me to make me jealous. What does that have to do with white people? Huh? You thinking the Angie Stone song is for you, where it's talking about some possessive, controlling ex. What does that have to do with white people? Stop capping. Now there's a bunch of noise campaign in every corner of the freaking neighborhood because they know I'm right. And they saw a little activity in the gym today and they felt like they were about to run to the stars and back. It means nothing. Because you got somebody white to do some gang stalking activity in support of the man from the gym? That's not hard. I offended them. I shared some extremely offensive content out of anger. It was a reaction over 4 years ago, which I've apologized for, by the way. And they've used the guys who created the content as gang stalkers on me. And you didn't have white people showing up in purple and sipping bottles of water. Stop capping. Stop it. So anyways, y'all, they're just willing to hop on board because I am targeted, right? And I'm in this vulnerable position where I'm getting whipped and punished. So of course they're going to hop on board because I did share offensive stuff about them. That's just what it is. So I never feel offended at white people for what they're doing because I understand. But again, stop capping about that situation with that man from the gym. Because a white man bent into the fridge and grabbed a bottle of water when I was leaving the gym, that means nothing. You could very easily recruit white people. A lot of them care for me because I shared offensive stuff. That doesn't take away or negate from what he did. And what you all did after the fact. Anyways, y'all. So I went down into the gym after the owner greeted me. I went down into the gym, right? It seemed like a positive environment. I saw a bunch of white people wearing, and it's, again, y'all, it feels so weird using the term white people. Like, I feel like we've gone back to the 60s or the 50s when there was segregation and stuff. Like, it's so weird now having to talk this kind of way, but unfortunately, that's one of the main themes in my targeting, right? So that's what I have to say. I have to specify because that is sensitization and that's mainly a source of contention in my targeting, right? And when I go down there, I notice multiple white people down there wearing the teal color. So I said, maybe this is like we're making progress now. Maybe we're actually making progress, and the second chance they're claiming that they're giving me is genuine now. Because they keep sending me stuff about being fake, but they're the ones being fake, not white people. I'm talking about the program. They're the ones being fake, and like you're pretending like you're giving me a second chance, but then you're taking dibs at me and trying to hurt me. Like you're still trying to hurt me and avenge this man from the old gym. Like, are you going to genuinely forgive me and give me a second chance, or is it just going to be like you keep pretending like you are and then doing stuff to hurt me? What are we doing? What are you doing? So anyways, y'all, because I've genuinely apologized on multiple occasions. I talked about why I did what I did. I took accountability for saying the things I said. There's nothing more I can do. So either you're going to forgive and give the second chance or you're not. But you do need to let me out of the targeting because it's not right. I haven't committed a crime. And nonetheless, you need to stop gaslighting and capping about the man from the gym. Because if it were about white people, he would have done it from the time I stepped foot in that gym. He would have never asked me to go on a hike, even if that was disingenuous. Stop making it like this is about white people. Stop. You're capping. So anyways, I get down into the gym, right? I see a bunch of white people wearing teal. So of course I'm always anxious and I know I'm being stared at and stuff, but I was moving like in this way, like, oh my God, this might be like a breakthrough. Like we're making progress for real. I get over to do my first workout. My hyperextensions, they have two dudes set up by the mirror acting like they're having a conversation. I already knew gang stalkers. I was like, oh boy, here we go. I was like, it seemed like it was going to be positive. Here we go. I said, let me just ignore them and not acknowledge them. I never looked up at them, you know. I couldn't tell you right now to save my life. I couldn't pick those dudes out in a lineup. I never looked up at them. So anyways, they were doing like these little subtle things. I've dealt with much worse when it comes to the gang stalking as it pertains to this man from the old gym. I've dealt with much worse. So it was very subtle. So I didn't get upset. I just didn't acknowledge them. I even noticed it's like a tactic where they moved the hyperextension machine. I noticed it since the last time I was in the gym that they moved the machine. I was like, over here, I said it was by the leg equipment before, which makes sense. It was by the leg and glute equipment before. And now it's randomly miscellaneously thrown over here by the dumbbells. It just doesn't make sense where they moved it. And I knew it was a gang stalk. I just knew it. I knew it was a gang stalking tactic. Immediately, I knew it. So anyways, true to what I had suspected, they had two dudes set up by the mirror trying to do some sort of gang stalking. But I did not even acknowledge them, y'all. I'm telling you right now, to save my life, I couldn't pick those guys out of a lineup. I just know that two male figures were standing in the vicinity. So I did my workout. I didn't get upset. I move over now to the other area to do my other workouts, which was on the other side of the gym. They had this white guy in there that they use as a gang stalker off and on, and this female. And they're both in the area wearing teal. But the guy, it's like he's doing his workout and sometimes he's standing up and doing, it's like this invasive like tactic they use where they'll put the gang stalker very near to you, where you can see them in the vicinity, where you can clearly see them while you're doing your workout. And they'll make the person just stand there and stare in their phone. And you know they're staring at you. So it's like this invasive, antagonizing thing. You know, that's like horrible. Who wants to be working on while somebody's standing there staring in the phone? It's weird. It's so weird. This program is so weird. But nonetheless, because he was white and because he was wearing teal, and I felt like they were actually genuinely trying to move forward now, I didn't get upset. I just stayed there and I did my workout. I wasn't getting upset. I was actually trying to tiptoe. With the music I was listening to, I wasn't changing the songs. I just let the songs play through. I wasn't doing that today. I said, I'm just going to listen to the songs and let them play through. But if I felt like my rap or my set was going to end on a part in the song that seemed offensive, or like I was taking a shot at them, I would purposely do an extra set. Just so I wouldn't have a replay of what happened with the man from the old gym, right? So anyway, I did my workout. I got through several workouts. I end up going to the mirror now. I'm doing my bicep curls. Some girl there on the floor doing stuff. Like, I felt like she was a gang stalker too, but I pretend like I didn't see her too. Again, another person that I didn't acknowledge or see. I couldn't pick her out in a lineup either. I can just from my peripheral, they think I'm not seeing. Like, I'm seeing every figure that's around me. So I can tell you, a white male was here by the tricep area. A black female was to the right of the squat machine. Two black males were in the mirror while I was doing my hyperextensions. I can tell you that. But like to pick them out in a lineup, I purposely don't acknowledge and I purposely don't look at the face like that. Anyway, so while I'm in the area too, I did notice a white guy with a ponytail. The same guy that did something when I left the gym. He thinks I didn't see him. I never looked up at him. I saw him. I saw him over there by the tricep rope pull down cable machine. And he actually, I did look up at his face, and it was only because I was walking towards that direction. So it wasn't a thing where I could pretend like I don't see. I had to, like, literally I'm walking in that direction. And so that's why I saw his face very clearly. And I did notice he kind of had like a look on his face. I knew he was a gang stalker, but I didn't know he was going to do what he did when I was leaving. So anyways, I continue to get through my workouts, y'all, not having a reaction, trying to move humble, tiptoeing on eggshells, actually feeling like I'm making progress because it looks like there's multiple white people in the gym wearing teal. And it didn't seem like this harsh gang stalking activity. It didn't seem like they were pushing the thirsty thing. Like I said, they had subtle activity with these two dudes by the hyperextension machine. But other than that, it was more so pushing the white people thing. I'm like, finally, something relevant. Instead of trying to get revenge for this man and whatever was going on with him in the old gym. Let that go. That is irrelevant to the targeting. You're at this point just trying to get revenge for this man. So anyways, and when I say with white people, I mean, let's make progress now because I've already apologized and I'm not still sharing the content. If you can use the guys that wear the purple that created the content as gang stalkers, then why can't I get a second chance for sharing their content out of anger 4 years ago? So anyways, now I get to my last workout, y'all. I'm on the tricep rope push down machine. It's by the cable machine, right where the same white guy that ended up doing some harsh gang stalking activity as I was leaving the gym was. He had left the area at that point. So I go to the machine and I'm doing my workout, right? And this song came on that talks about, in the song, at a certain part in the song, it says, leave me alone. I remember I've been saying that in my videos. I keep saying, I just wish they would leave me alone, especially as it pertains to this man from the old gym. I'm like, leave me alone. You're following me around for 2 years straight screaming, he gonna like you. I'm like, are you guilty? I didn't say he likes me. You're gorilla. Like, why are you insulting me and following me around and screaming he doesn't like me? Am I saying he does? Or do you feel like his actions look like he did? And that's why you're doing that. So anyways, in the song it said, leave me alone, or whatever. This is the part of the song. And some part of the song it says, leave me alone. And they know I'm constantly saying that in my videos. So when that came on, there have been times where I was in the gym and that part came on and I would purposely, look at the noise campaign now. Tactic, because they know what I'm about to talk about. You see how the noise campaign's starting now? Tactic. Because this is the coup de grace, y'all. This is the main part where I'm going to make the point that this is all about the man from the gym and not about white people. And what he did wasn't about white people. But you have recruited white people who are offended by the things I shared to help you with what you're trying to do with this man from the gym. Anyway, this is where I'm going to make my point now. And now all of a sudden the noise is starting. Right? So I'll be back. Anyways, y'all, I'm back and the noise has finally stopped. As you can see, it's 7:42 p.m. So it's dark outside. So the project has ceased for the moment. Anyway, so like I was saying, y'all, so the guy that was wearing the teal, one of the white guys that was nearby, that he was doing his workouts and then he would stop and stand up for a long time and just stare in his phone. And he would come like nearby and just stare in his phone. And I know he's staring at me. So now I'm doing my last workout and I'm doing my tricep rope push downs. And when that part of the song came on, coincidentally enough, the set did end where it said, leave me alone. Do you know I purposely did an extra set just so I wouldn't stop at that point in the song? Because there have been moments in that gym before where that song came on and they were doing gang stalking activity where I would purposely start ending the set at that song, at that point in the song. So, and again, too, it's always them that's taking it that way first. Because when the song initially came on and that part of the song came on, somebody walked by behind me and that's why I started purposely utilizing that part of the song. It's always them first. Always. So anyway, that became kind of a thing. But now the song comes on, I don't really do anything at that part. I never do. It plays, right? And I just said today I'm not going to keep switching songs and like I'm on eggshells. I'm just letting my playlist play like a regular human being and I'm going to work out. Even while I was over there by the hyperextension machine, and I knew those two dudes were like supposed to represent the thirsty thing. It was obvious. I just ignored them and didn't acknowledge them. A song came on that's on my playlist talking about, no, you want to know my love. You want to know my love, or something like that. Some song like that. Something along those lines. Typically, I would have flew and switched. I said, I don't give a rat's ass. I left the song playing and I worked out and I did not acknowledge their presence. So anyway, now I'm, like I said, fast forward back to where I was at in the story. I'm at the last part of my workout now, y'all, at the other side of the gym. And there's this white guy that they use off and on me as a gang stalker, wearing the teal. And he's doing this tactic where he's doing workouts and then he's standing up for long periods of time and just staring in his phone. I could tell he's watching me. So anyway, I just ignored it again because I thought, once again, stupid me, that they were actually coming in peace and trying to give like the second chance that they keep claiming they're giving me. And again, I'm not talking about white people. They're just players in the game at this point. I'm talking about the program. So remember I told you what was happening at the job and how, you know, it would seem like they're giving me a second chance and then I would leave and these bipolar activities would be happening outside of the job. Like they're trying to hurt me. So I'm talking about the program. So anyways, I'm doing, like I said, the tricep rope pushdowns, and oddly enough, it's like my luck just absolutely sucks. My set ended right at the part where they said, leave me alone. So I purposely, just to not make them feel like I'm taking a shot at them, especially since the guy was standing right there staring at his phone, obviously gang stalking and staring at me in an antagonizing way, I purposely pushed through and did another set just to not create friction and make them feel like I'm, you know, taking a shot, because it's like I think people are ready to jump on me. I really do. With the targeting, and it's like I do the slightest thing, it's like you're ready to hop on me. It's like what it seems like with the targeting. So I'm on eggshells, especially when it seems like they're coming in a positive way and like I might actually be making progress and getting closer to getting out of this thing and making peace with the people I've offended, not just white people, whoever I've offended out there. So anyway, I noticed when that part of the song came on, he instead walked. I think he thought I was going to do something. I really do. But that's to tell you how hard he was watching me, though. So then he now walks around. As soon as that part of the song happened, he walks around and sits right next to me on it's a adductor machine. You know that machine that I was talking about in some of these prior videos where you open your leg, close your legs, open your legs, and it works the inner thigh, your adductors? As soon as that part of the song came on where it said, leave me alone, or whatever the song said, he stopped staring at me in the phone and he walks around to the machine that's right next to the tricep rope push on, and he sits down and starts doing adductors. So then now I ended my set. And I really started feeling uncomfortable now because now he's right next to me. You're just standing there staring at me in the phone. Then that part of the song comes on, and then, like, in an antagonizing manner, you come around and sit on the adductor machine. So I remembered now really feeling uncomfortable. So that's why I remembered I wasn't wearing my shades. Now, as a tactic, hold on, y'all. Let me go. Hold on, I'll be right back. Somebody went in the bathroom. Y'all know I have an OCD with bathrooms. I'm going to come back and finish what I'm saying. So anyways, y'all, so when that part of the song happens, I purposely did an extra set just so that my set wouldn't end at that part of the song. But he did the tactic where he immediately put the phone down and he started walking towards the adductor machine. I even noticed he paused and then he still proceeded to, so I think he thought I was gonna like do some sort of, that's why I said I feel like they're sitting on ready, like the game stalkers. Just, you, from watching me, if you're really doing your homework, you should be observant enough to know that I'm never gonna act first. I'm actually truly coming in peace. So if you're seeming like you're coming in peace, then I'm gonna be peaceful. Look, a gang stalker revving by hard. Look. And that's the person for the end of the street, for the one of these people that started with me first. I've talked about him in prior videos. I'm not about to give that attention again, y'all. A guy that was near to being homeless, that used to wash my car before I left the island, right before I tried to relocate off the island in 2022, when I was trying to get away from the targeting, and I was a target. Before I tried to leave, when I was still a teacher and I had my new car, I used to go to the laundromat, and this guy that lives in the neighborhood used to wash my car for me. You had my people that did it for me. There's this Dominican shop by Five Corners where they clean really well. They do all kinds of stuff. They wash out your car. They clean the inside and the exterior. They put air fresheners. They put newspaper on the floor, and they only charge $30 or $35. I don't know what the rate is now. This is a whole 4 years later, and I think business is booming for them. But back then, they were only charging $35. This man was charging me $60 to wash the outside of my car with a dingy bucket. But because I knew it looked like he was one of these people that struggle around, that's to tell you I don't mistreat homeless people. There are multiple things I can pull up from throughout the years where I've been helpful to homeless people or people that look like they're in need. It's all cap, y'all. And I'm about to talk about the homeless thing in a second, too. It's all cap. Anyway, so I was paying the man big $60 every time I go to the laundry. He asked me to wash my car. I would give him the $60 because I knew he was from round the way and he looked like he needed the help. Now, biting the hand that feeds you, not to say I was feeding him, like, it's not that serious, but I'm just saying, somebody that at one point in time helped you out, in the targeting, now that it's gone viral and I got back on island and the thing got viral, now these people hopping on top of me, he come to the gas station one day doing gang stalking activity. I don't want to talk about him because he's kind of laid off of me now. Like, there was a point where I talked about what he did, and it was like that house is against him. That's who one of his people just revved by super hard. That's why I'm talking about it. But I'm not trying to talk about it again because he finally laid off of me. I did see him pass in front of my house when I was making this video. Like day before yesterday when I was making the clip and I was making good points. I saw him walking all of a sudden on the street in front of my house. I haven't seen him in eons. But I don't really want to call him. I don't want him to start with me again. I really don't. I started talking about the thing because that's who just revved by. One of his people just drove super hard by. So no, it's people that have personal issues with me, like, and they're subjective. A lot of these people, it's subjectivity and they're dead wrong. It's things that they're dead wrong about. And it's just subjectivity. I'm in this vulnerable state. So yeah, let's hop on her even though I'm dead wrong. That's what I've been dealing with this thing, y'all. Anyway, I'm not trying to tell the story with that man again. He was doing some gang stalking activity by the gas station. And I made a video about him. And now his whole household is against me. And he started doing some harsh gang stalking stuff for like a good year and change. And he finally laid off of me. But that was one of his people that just drove by hard. It keeps being people that's starting with me first. You're being fast and involving yourself in my targeting, especially if you're someone I helped out in the past. Why would you do that? Just sit that one out, man. Just sit back and relax. Just hopping on and trying to be a part of the targeting, and it's like random attacks from people. I'm like, why are you getting involved? What is your issue with me? It's happened with multiple people, y'all. Anyway, I just think it's some big fanfare on island. Everybody wants a piece. Everybody wants to be a part of it. Anyway, y'all. Back to what I was saying, though, y'all, because that's a major irrelevant tangent. So like I was saying though, it feels like they're just sitting on ready to hop on me. And again, let me specify, not specifically talking about white people, gang stalkers, the program in general. This happens all the time where it feels like I'm on eggshells and it's like they're just ready for me to do something to hop on me is what it feels like. And you're already standing there staring in your phone. I'm already feeling like, on edge. But I thought it was like a peaceful environment, especially with them all wearing the teal. I thought it was like they were coming in peace. So anyways, so he immediately walks around and then he kind of hesitated. Like I think he thought I was going to stop the rep there. And actually I was supposed to. I didn't even feel comfortable enough to stop my set when I was supposed to because they're listening to my music. It's like such a tormenting thing, y'all. I just want to listen to my music, whatever's said. I don't care what's being said. I'm just working out. Anyway, nonetheless, so he comes around and he sits in the adductor machine. So at this point now I recalled that I wasn't wearing my shades. I had taken the shades off on the hyperextension machine because it kept falling off my face, and that happens often with my headphones and with my shades. If you look at the hyperextension machine and how the workout works, you're bending all the way over, right? It's like this machine where you're bending all the way over and it works at your glutes. So often my shades will fall off, so I took it off since then and I didn't put them back on. But understand that has kind of become a tactic for me as like a dig at them. Because remember 6 months ago when the thing happened with the guy's girlfriend, right? Where we were in the gym together and they were trying to do the bullying tactic. And then she started having like a malfunction when I took my shades off and I took the ID picture in her phone and she saw the picture. She started blinking and her eyes started to like blink super fast. And that's when she started just like randomly insulting me. When she had just like 5 seconds earlier been calling me sweetie. She was just calling me sweetheart and giving me instructions on what to do. And then the picture came out nice and she saw the picture and her eyes started to blink like this. And then she started insulting me. So as a dig at them, because I know why you're doing what you're doing to me and it's not my fault. Stop punishing me for things that are out of my control. As a dig at them, I'll purposely take the shades off as a tactic when they're doing gang stalking things that pertains to that situation. And I know why you're doing it. That wasn't the case today. I saw teal. I didn't really see much gang stalking activity as it pertains to that specific situation. Aside from those two dudes that kind of were lingering around the hyperextension machine. They weren't doing anything too over the top like what they've really been doing with that situation. So I didn't do the tactic. I wasn't taking the shades off as a tactic. They saw it. It was literally doing the hyperextensions and it started to fall off my face. And so when it was falling, I grabbed it, I caught it, and I just put it to the side. So that wasn't me doing the tactic today. So the shades were already off. So I just didn't put them back on. I just left them off. And so I went through my different workouts. And when I got over to the area where I do my bicep curls, I hooked my shades onto the machine. And so while I'm over here now doing my last workout, I actually forgot that I left the shades over there. And I didn't even remember that I wasn't wearing the shades. It was when this guy did the thing that, happened where the song said, leave me alone. And then he immediately stops staring at me in his phone and walks around and sits on the machine, the adductor machine facing me, that I started to feel the nakedness of not having my shades and like I'm being stared at even more. Because he's right next to me now, facing me doing the adductors, and you just did that tactic of coming around when the song said, leave me alone. And I know you're antagonizing me because I've been screaming in these videos, please leave me alone. So anyway, I when my set finished, I went and I got my shades because I was feeling awkward. And that's why I wear the big black shades. Yes, obviously it does shade you from the sun and stuff, but the main reason why I wear the big black shades everywhere, y'all, is because everyone's staring at me on island. It's a big poppy show fanfare, circus act for entertainment while you're torturing somebody daily, sadistically. And now I'm not just specifically talking about the people in the gym. I'm talking about the program. The same thing I've been saying. So that's why I wear the shades. It's like it's this kind of way to kind of shade myself from like the glaring, intangible feeling of being watched. You know, that way, like you could feel somebody watching you and it's not a tangible thing. It's intangible, but you can feel it. I can feel them. I can feel their eyes on me. It's an uncomfortable feeling. So that's why I wear my shades. So anyway, I felt uncomfortable when he did that tactic and I started feeling like this wasn't really the peaceful second chance I thought it was. It never is. It never is. So anyway, I went and I got the shades and I went to put them on after I finished the set. And I put my shades on and I finished my set. And I purposely still moved in a peaceful manner. I didn't start acting that cocky way that I start to do when they start doing gang stalking stuff in there. Because again, at least this is somebody white that I know I offended. It's not this random thing where you punishing me for something this man did that was out of my control. That's where I start to buck off and act crazy because I'm like, this is so unfair. So now I moved peacefully. I finished the workout and I'm leaving now. As I'm leaving, I always take my earphone off and I tell the gym owner goodbye, or I tell him later, whatever I tell him, like a greeting as I'm leaving. The same white guy that had been down there with the ponytail, he's like middle-aged, look like he's in his 50s or something. That doesn't matter, irrelevant. That I had noticed was by the tricep rope push-down machine before I got over there, and I told y'all he disappeared before I got there. He's bending all the way over, doing the bend-over tactic that I was just talking about in the earlier clips that the guy from the old gym did. Bending over with his booty in the air, grabbing a bottle of water. So again, you're validating what I'm saying, that this is not about the white people thing. That's why you're doing it. That's why it was easy to recruit you. That's likely why you have a problem with me. That's partially why the targeting has worsened. But that's not why that man was doing what he was doing. But of course, you don't mind hopping on board and helping to facilitate and push the false narrative and antagonize me about that situation that was out of my control because I offended you. I shared offensive stuff over 4 years ago, and obviously you haven't forgiven me. Clearly. But that validates what I've been saying. It's not about the white people thing, because if that were the case, they would have been all ganging up on these guys in the purple that they've used at multiple locations. And I'm not trying to come for those guys. I should have never shared their content. I keep saying that. I was never affiliated with them. I was dead wrong. I truly was Hebrew at the time, but I did not align with a lot of the things that they were sharing. I was angry and I was sharing stuff out of anger. That's never good. I'm not affiliated with them. I never was. So for me to share the worst of your content while all this spotlight is on me out of anger, I was dead wrong. So even for them, I can understand if they have a problem with me, these guys in purple. It would be easy to recruit them too. I made them look horrible. Shit, the worst of the content. And that wasn't the intention. I was really just, like I keep saying, my story hasn't changed. I was truly looking for biblical help. I thought witchcraft or some sort of spiritual attack was happening. My belief system at the time was being Hebrew, the whole household. This is what we were doing from the time I was in high school. And I was looking for videos on how to protect yourself from spiritual warfare. Of course, they were Hebrew videos because I was Hebrew at the time. Then all the antagonizing things, that I talked about in my story was happening in the background. They were utilizing the technology that I didn't know about at the time to send subliminal messaging. And every video I was clicking on was talking about predators. And then the gang stalkers in the background were revving by and hopping on top of me. It got so bad they were going in the bush and hiding and throwing shit on top of my roof. And so I got angry and I started sharing horrible, offensive stuff. It wasn't just about white people, but yeah, I came for white people too. That was because of some of the stuff that happened in Indiana. But anyway, nonetheless, whatever. I'm not making excuses. I've already taken accountability. Now it sounds like I'm exasperated, and now you would say I'm being disingenuous because I've been apologizing for years. Are you going to forgive me or not? I'm tired. But anyways, nonetheless, y'all. So I can understand why white people would get involved and why it would be very easy to recruit them. But what's going on with that man in the gym had nothing to do with white people, or he would have been doing it from the time I set foot in the gym. It's not making sense. And the whole bringing the girlfriend around and trying to make me jealous and the different tactics, what does that have to do with white people? That guy doing that, bending over and grabbing the thing out of the water out of the fridge as I'm leaving, it really just validated what I was saying. Because if this were truly about white people, then there would be this whole movement against those guys in purple. Not that I'm not trying to create that for them. I'm not trying to create that for them. I'm just trying to show you that it's not what they're pretending like it's about when it pertains to this man from the gym. That's all I'm trying to say. Now I'm making a good point. You notice the music is starting again? Every time I make valid points, y'all, their response is to drown it. Is to drown out what I'm saying with noise. Do you understand how you're making what I'm saying look like what I'm saying it makes sense? You're further validating the things I'm saying when you use that tactic. It reminds me of this interview they sent to me a long time ago, Shadow Network, AI, where this news reporter was arguing with this civilian. I think they were arguing about women's rights and the right to abort babies. And while they're having this argument, the news lady, right, she was making some valid points. She was anti-abortion. Now, that's a matter of opinion. I refuse to make comments on controversial stuff. I am impartial to it. I have no comment. But I'm just saying the news lady was making valid points. So if you have a debate, I did this with my students before, by the way. I purposely would give them controversial topics and then put them in groups and let them debate each other. So it was a debate that was going on between this news lady, this newscaster who was conducting the interview, and this civilian. She was making educated, good points. And the civilian, she was just getting angry. She couldn't best the girl. She was trying to best her and she couldn't best her. So she got mad and she hauled back and punched the girl in the mouth to shut her up when she was making another good point. And to me, that's like the best analogy I can think of when it comes to these videos. Like when I'm making good points, why are you turning up stuff to drown out what I'm saying at certain points when I'm making a good point? Do you understand what that looks like? It's obvious that you realize or you recognize I'm making a good point, a valid point, and that's why you're doing that. Anyways, y'all, the person with the hammer even hammered. I haven't heard them in hours. Anyways, y'all, whatever the case is. So I'm exhausted, y'all. I need to sleep. It's 8 o'clock and I have work. I just had to document. It's been days of me trying to do this video, y'all. There's still more. There are like 3 different bullet points I need to cover before I finish this video. But I have to talk about what happened in the gym today and how it validates what I'm saying, that this is not truly about white people. You recruited white people and it was easy to because I did offend them. So, of course, they're willing to hop on board. But that's not what it's about, obviously. Anyways, y'all, so I'll come back and finish the video later. That's not for me. She's on the phone. You can hear she's on a phone call. Sorry, y'all. I'm talking to the noise campaign in the background because there was somebody that did a go outside. You can hear her. She's on one of these business calls. Anyway, y'all, so I'm tired and I have work tonight and it's a struggle at the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock hour. And it's exhausting. That's something else I want to talk about in the video too, some gaslighting. I'll talk about that. So those 2 hours are always a struggle for me. So I really need to try to sleep before I get to work. So I'm going to finish the video either tomorrow because I don't really like making the video at work. Like I told you, a lot of those workers in there are friends with the guy from the gym. In fact, his good buddy is a night shift corrections officer. So I'll likely finish. Well, that's the problem though. All of a sudden now there's this big, huge project being done outside during the daytime when I'm trying to make the video. Even if I have to go in my vehicle and take a drive, y'all, to finish this video, I will do it. But either tomorrow or possibly later tonight at work. It depends on the activity at work. Because if something happens like what happened this morning, where they were beaming my head with the energy weapon because I was answering geography questions, then I might hop on and finish the video. But really and truly, the plan is to finish it tomorrow when I get home. But I just had to talk about what happened in the gym today, y'all, because that further validated what I was saying. That's not really about white people. Yes, I've offended them. I understand that. Yes, that's why the targeting has worsened. But that's not why he did what he did, or he would have done it from the time I got in the gym. When I got in the gym, I had already shared that offensive content a whole year and change prior. Why a whole year and change into me working out around you did you start doing this? Because the guy's name is popping in my head? So what? Are you calling me, insinuating I'm trash and all these horrible things and making the girl bend down in front of me and whatever else you were doing to humiliate me? Then he's bringing his girlfriend around and trying to make me jealous. And what does that have to do with white people? What it is I offended white people so they don't mind hopping on board and helping you out, though. Anyway, I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace out. I'm not in the next one. I'll finish the video a little bit later, y'all. Anyways, y'all, I'm back, y'all. Ready to finish the video. Of course, there's more to document. More has happened since I've taken the break, the space in between the last video, y'all. They used neural monitoring, y'all, I suspect, just so I don't bear false witness, to send me a dream about this man and his girlfriend, a weird dream. It was a strange dream, y'all. This is to tell you it's not about white people. It's not. I can't make this shit up, y'all. I feel violated. It's to the point where I can't even escape it in real life, and now they're putting it in my dreams. And they're chirping in the background, confirming it too. Excuse me, y'all. Anyways, I don't want this video to be too long. So let me hurry and wrap this thing up. So the other points I wanted to talk about, how they keep trying to make excuses for what he did and what they did to me over the situation. I already covered all of that, y'all. You know, talking about how after the reaction that I had to him doing whatever he did for a whole month, what took place for these last 2 years, how they've been torturing me and tormenting me over the situation, bullying me, using his friends, to come around me, sipping and guzzling water and doing directed convo, saying horrible stuff. Insinuating after, what happened 6 months ago with his girlfriend. They didn't like how that interaction went. It was like a backfire. I talked about that too. They started insinuating, that they had recorded me having intercourse with an ex-boyfriend in my old apartment, a bitter ex. And they keep recruiting these bitter exes, y'all. These guys that things didn't end well with. Everybody has some sort of ex that things didn't end well with. I didn't even know how many of them they would be able to recruit, y'all. There were quite a few bitter guys that they've recruited. I don't even think all of them were bitter. Some of them it's just the paycheck is sweet and you're struggling. Because there were like 1 or 2 guys that I wasn't even in a relationship with that they recruited where I'm like, what is your issue? And I'm like, I know they're paying you. It's really just the paycheck is sweet. But majority of the guys that they've utilized against me were guys that had some sort of bitter end. And they were holding on to something against me. I'm like, really? I didn't even know y'all. And I didn't even wrong them like in a major way. Like, let's say it was somebody I talked to briefly and I ghosted the person. I'm not the kind of person that ghosts people like that. But when I was younger, I used to do that. A lot of people have, especially when in your early, like your 20s and stuff, especially if it's not someone you're in a relationship with. You might ghost someone if you're not feeling the situation anymore and you don't want to say, hey, I'm not feeling you anymore. You just might ghost a person. That could happen, and it did happen a few times. They've been recruiting all kinds. I told y'all about the dude that they had in the gym that I was rebuking. Anyway, whatever, y'all. So just the things that they did, though, over the situation. That's what I mean. The things that has happened after that thing at the end of 2024. For about a year and change, they've been tormenting me and doing horrible low-down stuff to try to hurt me. They've been very clear that they're trying to hurt me. They even send it with the technology that I don't care and they're trying to hurt me. I don't care about that. Let's be clear. It's not I don't care in general. Yes, I act detached because it's a defense mechanism. I'm trying to survive being tortured in a situation that I can't get myself out of. It's like this high-intensity torture program all day long. And I'm a survivor, so I've detached so I can survive. It's called desensitization. But specifically that situation, I don't care about because I don't know him like that. And in the grand scheme of things, he's irrelevant to the targeting. You've made this whole thing, like, it's almost like it's all turned into this thing about this man. It's the craziest thing ever, and I don't even really know him like that. Yes, we worked out around each other for about a year. But even using acquaintance sounds too intimate because I never really got to know him like that. He was just like a trainer in the gym that was working out in the same vicinity as me. I didn't even remember his name. I learned it when he gave me his number. And then I forgot it. And the only reason I learned it again recently was because I was looking through, like I told y'all, after the thing with his girlfriend. I was looking through my followers for someone. They know who it was that day when I was looking for it. Now I can't remember it. This was a few months ago. I was looking for somebody whose name began with SK. And I see this big yellow suit pop up. I'm like, what's this? And so I remember clicking on the person's page and realizing it was the man and that he was following me on Facebook. And that was when I saw his name again and I remembered his name. I couldn't even remember his name. Anyways, y'all. So anyway, I covered that stuff. Now to talk about the last 2 things, y'all. Something that happened not yesterday when I went to the gym. Remember, now it's Thursday, y'all. It's after 12. It's 4:21 a.m. I'm at work. Remember, I work from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. But something that happened when I went to the gym on Monday, y'all. My schedule goes as follows. I go to the gym on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. So Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays are my days off. So on Monday when I went to the gym, not yesterday, because yesterday was a gym day as well. And that was when the thing with the white guy with the teal happened. And then when I was leaving, the thing I just talked about, y'all, when I was leaving, the white guy with the ponytail was bending over with his booty in the air, grabbing water out the fridge. Which again, like I said, validated what I've been saying the whole time. You've recruited white people to help you with the situation with the guy, but that's not why he did what he did. Anyway, so on Monday though, something happened in the gym where they actually put his good friend in the gym to do a tactic. So I'm going to talk about that friend. You can see it says thirst friend in the gym. Show Facebook messages. But I'm going to talk about him in a second. I first want to talk about this part here that says manipulative homeless man tactic. Because the day before I actually saw the friend in the gym, we have to rewind back to a couple days prior to that. Last week, Friday, right now, y'all, like I said, it's Thursday. Last week, Friday, I was driving in this area that's kind of like en route to my gym. And there's like this intersection where you have to stop sometimes if there's a lot of traffic. And sometimes there's this homeless guy that sits in the grass there. I've driven by him many times before. He didn't ask me for anything. But they have this habit off and on where they try to perpetuate this narrative of me treating homeless people bad because a reaction I had on the Greyhound bus when I tried to relocate off island, y'all, in 2022. If you listen to my full story about what started my targeting and how I learned I was a target, then you'll hear about this episode that happened that led to my targeting going viral. In 2022, summer of 2022, I resigned from my teaching job. I resigned from my security job. And I picked up and I left. I tried to relocate off island because things were so bad. At that point, I hadn't made a video, y'all. That's to tell you it's all bullshit and cap. I hadn't made a video, not one video about anybody. And I hadn't shared offensive content. The targeting was contained to the island at that point. So that was 2 years into the targeting. Remember, it started summer of 2020. This is summer of 2022 when I tried to relocate. So I was leaving peacefully. I hadn't made videos. I wasn't being a big blabbermouth, messy, whatever they're trying to pretend that I am, when you know why I'm making the videos. Anyway, so I hadn't done any of those things. And I just talked about a few clips back, y'all, where I was talking about living in the old neighborhood before I tried to relocate off island. And the cyberbullying guy's family getting involved in my targeting. And I mentioned my dad being in the bush with his dad one night when they were using a tactic on me, when I was in the shower bathing and I was washing off like that. You know, you can put on those green mint masks and stuff, y'all. I used to keep up with myself back then. I cared about my hair. I cared about my skin. I looked a lot better back then. I was healthier. My targeting wasn't as high level. It was bad enough for me to think I needed to leave. But that's because I was going from being a free person to being targeted. But now that I'm experiencing what I am now that it's gone viral, I realized what I had going on back then was way better than the level that the targeting is to now. Anyway, so I came out the shower because they were doing this tactic back then where they're taking the electricity, and they used to love to do it when I was in the shower at nighttime. And so I remembered going out on the porch pissed. And I heard snickering in a bush and directed convo about, what? They took the light? What? The stupid fake convo. I look down, I see the cyberbullying guy's dad in the bush with my dad. So these are the things I was dealing with before I ever made a video about that man. And they gaslit me for 2 years about that situation too and pretended like I was just attacking him for no reason. Like I just randomly sat on my ass one day, years later, and decided to go crazy and attack him. This is the type of gaslighting stuff I've been dealing with. Anyway, so nonetheless, I tried to relocate in 2022 and I hadn't made any videos yet and I hadn't shared the offensive stuff about white people, none of those things. But still, yet I was being followed around islands, surveilled, etc. Anyway, so the thing followed me. I'm not meaning to tell the story again, y'all. I'm just giving you a quick brief on why the homeless person thing is sensitization in the targeting. It's bullshit. So anyway, I tried to relocate in 2022, and when I got up to Florida, I was en route to Indiana. I talked about, like I said, if you listen to my full story, you'll hear, y'all, why I chose Indiana and what my plan was. So I purchased a series of Greyhound tickets to get to Indiana because plane tickets from Florida to Indiana were extremely expensive. It would have taken up like half of the money I had saved. I had about $5,000 saved, and plane tickets were like $2,000 and change. So I was like, this makes no sense. And so I decided to do Greyhounds. Big mistake. And I will be honest, that's one thing that my mom did warn me about. She was like, you didn't catch a Greyhound? She was telling me that's a bad idea. But I didn't even know what they had in store for me, too. I didn't even know that this thing was going to follow me. But just in general, even if it hadn't followed me, horrible experience. I've talked about it. If you listen to my full story, you'll hear why I said so, y'all. It's a horrible experience. There's a shortage in drivers. So if you are taking a long journey and you have connecting buses, one driver might come late due to the shortage, and then you get to the next state and you missed your bus, and then you have to wait all day long at the station, and you can't bathe, and the station is full and packed up with people. And there are a lot of transient people and homeless people that are in the station, which is not a big deal. But you do have a lot of crazy activity taking place. Specifically, what comes to mind is the Atlanta Greyhound, where I was sitting there all day long, and I saw some crazy ass activity, even activity with a guy in a gun and police officers trying to find him. And no to the Greyhound. Absolutely not if you don't have to. Anyway, aside from that, y'all, the thing followed me and attached itself to me. And so when I got to the Tennessee Greyhound station, yeah, because I'm about to, you see the same tactic I just talked about or in the earlier clips. Anytime I'm about to make a good point, you can bet your bottom dollar you're going to hear noise campaign. Now listen to the noise campaign playing, because they know what I'm about to talk about, and they know the homeless person thing is cap. It's just another one of these fake things they created just to use as an excuse to torture me because you don't like me. Anyway, so at the Tennessee and my stories never change either. That's how you know it's authentic. So at the Tennessee Greyhound station, you have to catch in a series of buses, and it taking days for me to get to my destination. I still hadn't gotten there yet. This was when I reached to Tennessee. I was exhausted, y'all. I'm not gonna tell the whole story of how I realized they followed me. Just know I had nodded off on my bag, my suitcase. You know, again, it was another one of these Greyhound stations where I had to wait for hours on end for a bus to come. And I was sitting on my suitcase, exhausted from days of traveling. And I had just eaten a burger, and I started nodding off on my suitcase. And when I opened my eyes, there was this heavy-set Rasta dude walking by. And he had like this black sweater on, and on the back of the sweater was weird symbology, like the Freemason symbol and stuff. And, you know, just from doing research, I realized that this is some sort of Masonic, it seems like, program, or there's some sort of tie to the Masons. I don't want to talk about it, y'all, because a few years ago, they tried to create false narratives with that. But this was stuff I saw just from doing research about the program. And then I remembered that Rasta guy. You know, you could see from my very first video I was talking about, before I even learned that stuff, I was talking about what I saw on the back of that guy's sweater. Anyway, so he walks by and he looks at me, and it was this weird, scary look, y'all. Like how a lion would look at like something it's about to pounce on. It wasn't a look of like a man that's showing interest in a female. It was more so like a predator hunting prey. And he looked at me in this kind of way and did like this smirk. And then I started hearing the bird chirping sound that I had been hearing all over Island. So I'm guessing he had a bird drone in his backpack, because he had a backpack on. At this time, I hadn't done research. I didn't know I was a target. And I didn't know that the bird sounds that I used to hear following me around Island in the first 2 years of my targeting, I didn't know that was those were bird drones. Remember, I learned all these things when I got back on Island a few months later in November. When I did research and stuff, and that was when I learned I was a target, and I started learning about all the high science technology. The whole reason why I thought witchcraft was being done, because they were using high science technology that I didn't know about, like the neuromonitoring, the shadow networking, where they can send you subliminal messaging via the technology, etc., etc. So anyways, y'all, once I realized the thing followed me, I started getting paranoid, because I remembered I was being surveilled when I was on Island, even in my apartment. Remember, I told y'all I got to the point where I was living in my car. I was teaching virtually out of my car, y'all. So anyways, I started looking around and acting paranoid and feeling like I was being watched, and I wasn't moving that way before. Because even if I were being watched, which obviously I was, the people around me weren't obvious about it. And I don't think as many people had access to the cameras. I think when I first started my journey up there, I think they had certain designated gang stalkers that were probably watching me on that bus. I don't think it was every individual on the bus, on all of the different connecting buses I went on. Maybe it wasn't, and they were just playing it off. It didn't seem that way, though. But I feel like after I had the reaction that I had after seeing this Rasta guy at the Tennessee Greyhound station when I got on the bus and I acted the fool, I feel like immediately the thing went viral, and they gave access to everyone on the bus, gave access to the cameras that were on me. And they used insect drones, y'all, to surveil you. So I didn't even know how they were bugging, it seemed like these cameras were following me. I just did not understand the high science element to the targeting, and I didn't learn these things until I got back on Island. So anyways, y'all, when I realized the thing followed me, though, I started acting paranoid and looking around, and to me, everybody was it, at the time, I didn't know it was called gang stalker, but to me, it felt like everyone was watching me and everyone was involved, and it got real strange. There was even this weird thing when I went into the bathroom, too, with this cleaning man that kept pretending like he was cleaning at the entrance of the bathroom, and I'm using the toilet, and he was kind of doing noise campaigns with the dustpan and the broom. Anyway, so nonetheless, y'all, I get on the bus, and I sit down next to somebody that did not look homeless. It was a racially ambiguous man. Not that race matters, but I'm just trying to tell you, because there's a racial element to the targeting, it wasn't about race, that's for sure. I sat down next to this man that was racially ambiguous. He looked like he could have been from India, or like he could have been Dominican, or something else. He had dark black hair, deep, dark brown skin. And I could not tell what he was. I couldn't tell if he was Hispanic. I couldn't tell if he was Mexican. I couldn't tell if he was, from South America. I couldn't tell if he was Indian. I couldn't tell what he was. I really couldn't. So racially ambiguous man, and he didn't look homeless. He was dressed in regular clothing. And then on the other side of the aisle, you know how the bus works, y'all? You have the left side of the seats and you have the right side of the seats. And then you have the middle part in between the two sides that you can walk up and down. On the right side, on the other opposite side of the seats, was this white guy, this older white guy. And I didn't know if he was homeless or not. He did look kind of dirty, I'm not going to lie. But I didn't know if he was homeless or not. It wasn't like obvious that he was homeless. You have all kinds of people riding the Greyhound bus. You do have a lot of homeless people that use it because it's a cheap form of transportation. But you also have people that are lowly using it. People that are homely using it. People that are struggling that are using it. That you're not necessarily homeless, but you might be down and out. So I didn't know if he was homeless or not. The only thing that would make it, I don't want to say obvious, but that would make me really inclined to think so was the fact that he had his shoes off and under his feet looked dirty. But he was wearing like a regular shirt. It was like a striped shirt, if I remember correctly, and like a short pants, and he could have just been like a man that wasn't cleaning his feet. I didn't know if he was homeless or not. All I know is I was studying the fact that everybody around me was likely involved and that the thing from the island followed me. That's what I was studying. I wasn't studying what he had going on in his life. So anyway, he started doing this coughing. Like he was just coughing. And I was dealing with that on every bus ride. I even told y'all back, if you listen to my story, y'all have heard me say that there was this guy that was riding, that befriended me on the journey, on part of my journey, that was from Atlanta. And he was, he sat next to me for a few of the bus rides, and he was acting irate and crazy. I don't want to say crazy, but irate at the coughing that was taking place. And a lot of people were coughing. Because this was post-COVID, y'all. Remember, this was in 2022. So this was when they had just lifted the quarantine. And so people that were considered vulnerable, like if you have a compromised immune system or diabetic, something like that, you're considered compromised. And so you were susceptible to getting the COVID virus really bad. And, some people were passing, God forbid, from it. I lost my favorite author, Adrienne Bird, from COVID. I didn't learn that until a few years ago. I was so devastated to know that she wouldn't be writing any new books. Anyway, nonetheless, so this guy, if you listen to my story, not to go off on a tangent, y'all, but if you listen to my full story, one of those videos where I tell my full story in the description box and comment section, you'll hear about the whole journey that I took. And you'll hear about this guy that befriended me, for a portion of my journey before I had the reaction that I had. And all of this was on camera. Apparently, they didn't hop on top of him. So he, every ride I would take my Lysol and I would spray the seat because this was during COVID. And I'm just that way anyway. I really am a germaphobe. But I wasn't acting the way I acted on this bus in Tennessee when I realized the thing followed me. So I would just politely spray the seat and then I would sit down and I was wearing a mask. Once he befriended me and was sitting next to me, we're riding and, they were homeless. You could tell they were homeless. They definitely looked homeless. This homeless couple was sitting again across the seat from us. We were on the left-hand side and they were one seat up on the right-hand side. They were coughing, but the two of them coughing up a storm. But I could tell it was likely from smoking cigarettes because they had cigarettes. One of the guys actually had a cigarette behind his ear. So I could tell it was likely maybe emphysema, COPD, or just phlegm that builds up into the lungs, because that's what happens when you smoke tobacco over time. Phlegm actually builds up and tartar, and your lungs start to shrink and they start getting like this dark kind of way, and the tissue actually starts turning fibrous. That's why there's this high risk of cancer, God forbid, and I'm not wishing that on anybody, but there's that high risk, and they give you the warnings and stuff when you smoke tobacco. So anyway, the coughing that they were doing, I wasn't thinking it was COVID. I was feeling like it was cigarette coughs. Like some people, not everyone that smokes cigarettes have a cough. Let me be careful with my words, because cigarettes became this main staple in my targeting too, once things went viral. If you listen to my story, you'll hear about it, y'all. I don't think everyone that smokes cigarettes has a nasty cough. In fact, I've met people that smoke them that doesn't have a cough. But a lot of people that smoke do get a dry cough. So anyway, they're having this big dry cough, the two of them. He starts flipping out and freaking out. And like, why aren't they covering their mouth? Why aren't they covering their mouth? He's like, they're so nasty. Whatever he was saying, man. He grabbed my Lysol. He starts spraying it in their direction. I said, whoa. I said, whoa, hold it. Chill out. Because it's like, you can't spray people. I understand his fear because he had a big scar on his chest. And he already explained to me that he had open heart surgery. So he would be one of those people that would be at risk of losing his life if he caught COVID, which is why I was surprised he came on the bus with no mask on. So anyway, I offered him, I said, when we have the next stop, you know how on the Greyhound bus, y'all, they make stops so you can get snacks and stuff. They stop at the gas station. I said, when we stop at the next stop, I'll get you a mask. He said, okay. But the point is, he was screaming and acting, actually saying stuff out his mouth and spraying the Lysol at 2 homeless people. They never latched onto this man. And I knew he was fine too, because after the fact, he still had my number before I lost that phone. I remember he called me a few times after the fact. And he was fine, living his best life in Atlanta. So why the thing blew up with me specifically? It's just, it feels spiritual. I keep saying I think it's witchcraft. It's something weird. It's like I keep seeing these people that have done worse on camera. And it's still like the attention is on me, and it's like this get her dagger type thing. It's just weird. So anyway, y'all, fast forward to the Tennessee Greyhound station, because he left, off of the Greyhound bus in the journey that him and I were kind of sharing together at a certain point when I got to the Atlanta Greyhound station. He lived in College Park in Atlanta. So anyway, now, y'all, I get to, the Tennessee Greyhound station, and the heavyset Rasta guy that walked by with a bird drone chirping in his backpack that looked at me the weird way. That situation happened, and then I get on the bus and I'm acting paranoid. So I sat down next to the guy, like I said, that looked racially ambiguous, and on the right-hand side was this guy that could have been homeless. I wasn't sure, but he did have his feet up, stretched out on the seat so that nobody would sit next to him, because, each row you have 2 seats. And so he would kind of stretch his seat out, his legs out, like he didn't want anyone to sit next to him. I think that's purposely why he put his dirty feet up, because he didn't want anybody to sit next to him. So anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm acting scornful off rip. Like, it's not like I just sprayed the seat and sat down like what I was doing before. I was scrunching up in the seat and acting like everybody was disgusting. I wasn't doing that before. Acting like everybody was disgusting and, acting like I don't want anyone to touch me. And so the homeless guy kept coughing while the ride started. He kept coughing, similar to what a lot of the other people were doing the whole journey that I was on. But I was acting like it was just so exasperating for me, because I felt like it was noise campaign. I started getting paranoid. Once I realized the thing followed me, I started literally getting paranoid. And so I kept acting irritated, like he was the most annoying thing in the world. And I kept spraying my leg every time he would cough. And then the guy to the left of me started getting agitated too. And he kept like purposely opening his leg. That's to tell you, it wasn't just about homeless people. He wasn't homeless. I was doing it to him too. He kept opening his legs super wide and opening his legs and making it touch me and snickering. And he would snicker. And then it turned into this weird thing where the whole bus was getting involved, and like all of them had access to the cameras, and they all started kind of doing noise campaigns on me. And it became so overwhelming. It's like this weird thing that happens to me sometimes when I'm really anxious. My sister used to tease me about it, my older sister. She knows this about me. It's really not a good trait to have. But I blacked out. I knocked out. Like, it's this weird defense mechanism that my body will do sometimes when I'm really anxious. And so there was too much going on and too much stimulation, and I knocked out. My head went back and I knocked out. I remember when I woke up, we were close to my destination. As soon as I opened my eyes, they all started doing noise campaigns on me again. But we got to the location, Indiana, finally, and I was able to get off the bus, and I could tell the thing had followed me, man, y'all. The thing was just, it was way different than every other station I came off on. I could tell everyone in the vicinity had access to the cameras. At this point now, I knew the thing had followed me. The treatment had changed. It was harsh and heinous. That was the start of, that wasn't the start of the nightmare, but that was the start of the nightmare getting worse. And that was the start of the targeting going viral and me picking up a bunch of enemies all over the world. So anyways, y'all, so that moment though on that bus is why they keep trying to perpetuate this false narrative of me mistreating homeless people. It's gaslighting. It wasn't specific to him being homeless, because the guy to the left of me was not homeless. I've said it already in multiple videos. They still purposely keep perpetuating this fake narrative of me mistreating homeless people. It's like this spiteful thing they're doing, like purposely still just not acknowledging what I talked about. And I've even told them that when I'm not the kind of person that does stuff for people and puts it on social media. Like, you have some people that they do nice stuff for homeless people and then they record it and they put it on social media. To me, that feels disingenuous. It might not be. Maybe you're doing it. Some people do it as a way to get money so they can help the homeless people more. But some people do that as a way to get money and then they take the money for themselves. You've heard stories like that before too. So it's kind of hard to know who's genuine and who's not. But nonetheless, to me, I feel like it takes away from your blessings. If you're not doing it on a large scale to try to get donations to help a lot of homeless people, and you're just doing it just to be seen, like, to me, I feel like that takes away from your blessings. So anyway, I took my financial aid when I was in Florida, And I didn't even have no big set of money like that, y'all, but I was doing okay. I was a security guard, I was a substitute teacher, and I had gotten this big financial aid check. There was a strip near my school where a bunch of homeless people was, and one day I just felt like being generous. I bought a bunch of big plates of nice food, and I was just stopping and handing out plates. I did that multiple times. And throughout the years, there have been many times where I have bought food for homeless people or given money when I have it. I'm not somebody that mistreats homeless people. It's like such a false narrative, like every other false narrative that they create. It's just like a reason for you to torture me because you have a problem with me for whatever reason. So anyways, y'all, now this is what they're pulling out for why the man did what he did. First, it was like mainly focusing on white people and trying to make it about white people. Then I bring up the point about the fact that you use the guys in purple as gang stalkers, so that's not making sense. Also, when I first got in the gym, I had already shared that content. He wasn't doing that stuff. Now, recently, they tried to use a homeless man in a manipulative way, right? So like I said, about a week ago, this was like last Thursday, I ran out of meal prep meals. I didn't make enough meal prep meals. Y'all, I'm a grown woman. So if I don't cook, I might not eat. I do live with my parents due to the targeting, but my mom doesn't cook every day. I'm not a child. She's not obligated to cook for me every day. So for the most part, I'm responsible for eating. So just because you see me buying a plate of food, that doesn't mean I have money to give out to a homeless person. They know full well what my situation is. They know that I'm living with my parents. They know that I'm using an old vehicle that still belongs to my mother. And they know I'm trying to save up to get a car, and they know they're watching everything. They're seeing me budget. They know I write lists, etc. I have to save up $3,500, y'all, just to get a new vehicle for the down payment. Just for the down payment alone, I have to save up $3,500. I only have $500 saved, y'all, and I had to dip into they saw me doing it. I had to dip into my savings because I ran out of money due to all these bills I had. I actually had to dip into my savings. So anyway, I pulled money out my savings, and I'm headed now. This was last week, right? Sometime last week. I think it was Thursday or Friday. I'm headed to this vegan van to get vegan food. I like to buy food from them. I'm trying to eat healthier now, y'all. And so if there's a day where I need to buy food, I'd rather buy the vegan food than buy Wendy's or, Church's Chicken or one of these places like that. I'm actually not even really trying to eat meat like that. I'm trying to eat fish. Or like I said, vegan protein. So I reached to the intersection I was talking about a few minutes ago, y'all, before I went off on the tangent, where I was telling you en route to my gym, and also en route to this vegan van, there's an intersection where this homeless guy hangs out sometimes. And if the traffic is, backed up, you have to stop there, and he'll be sitting on the patch of grass in between the intersection. I've driven by him numerous times. He didn't ask me for money. They have set things up, though, sometimes when I'm coming out the store where they're making a homeless guy ask me for money. And so typically I'll give the money. Sometimes I don't. I just feel like it's disingenuous. It's like you're making me give him money to satisfy what? It just looks stupid and fake to me. And it actually irks me too, because it's like you're still pushing this false narrative that I mistreat homeless people when you're doing this. That's what you're using this person as a gang stalker for. So typically I give them money, and then sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just purposely ignore them. It's not like the person asks me for money. The person will just be sitting there. Like they purposely started putting this homeless guy to sit outside the bakery. And when I was walking by him, they went, chirp, chirp, like I'm supposed to buy him something. I'm not doing that. It's fake and stupid. I'm not buying something. It's so disingenuous. What is that teaching me? That I'm going to buy something for the homeless guy on camera to look good? Oh, okay, everything's okay now. It's stupid and fake. If I have it and I genuinely feel in the spirit to help, then I'm going to help. And that's what I've always done. Anyway, there's been times where they directly started using this homeless guy, like 2 times recently, where I was going into the gas station and he walks up to me and he asks me, you have $2? And I'm struggling from check to check. They finally given me consistent hours, thank God, trying to pay my bills and then also budget out for food. I'm only getting food stamps once a month, and now I have to recertify. I'm not going to get as much as I was getting before, y'all. So it's like I'm feeling like I'm having to dig in my little bag for the money I budgeted to give to satisfy them and appease them instead of genuinely giving when I have it. It's this weird thing they're doing. So anyways, y'all, so this guy here now, all of a sudden he's asking for money while I'm headed to the vegan van. And they don't know I dug into my savings. And I was already budgeting about how in the next check, I'm already planning for the next check. The next check is already spent and I haven't even gotten it in my hands yet. I'm already planning for how I have to replace the money I took out of my savings, plus add $200 to the savings, and then budget out for groceries and bills, etc. And I'm eating healthier now, y'all, so it's expensive. I'm trying to eat healthier and take care of myself. I'm under high stress. I'm having trouble swallowing, dysphagia from them hitting me with energy weapons, and my cortisol levels skyrocketed through the roof. My blood pressure started going up. I'm dealing with fibroids. So I'm trying to eat healthier and heal my body. It's expensive, especially for somebody that's working a minimum wage security job. So anyways, y'all, so I'm headed to the vegan van, right, to get the food. I have to stop by him. He ends up asking me, you have a dollar, miss? I think they put him up to it because he's never done that before. You have a dollar? I said, no, I don't, not today. And so I started explaining to myself, well, I do have the money that's in this bag to buy the food. But after that, my money's done. I have to dip into my savings after I pay for this food. I said, this is literally my last $40. So anyways, and I have to get gas still too. I said, I'm definitely going to have to dip into my savings before I get paid again, which I did have to do. So anyway, I get to the food place now. They're all revving by in the road. They're just ready to hop on top of me, man. They're revving to the road and acting like they're revving like that was something bad or some moment that they can run with. I'm like, okay. I remember just ignoring them and buying my food. So now a couple days later, they try to set up this tactic when I'm going to buy food again now, y'all. It's Sunday. I don't do meal prep for the weekend. I meal prep Monday through Friday, and then on Sunday I have to buy food or I'm not going to eat. I have to eat. So anyway, I go to buy food and my mom said, well, if you're buying food, get me food too. She said, I'll put the money on your card. Typically, they've seen me when I do have the money offering to buy my mom food. I told her, okay. I didn't even offer to buy her food. She wanted to order these little small plates of food. I wanted a bigger plate. She said, if you ordered the bigger plates, I can't afford that. Typically, I would have bought it for her if I could afford it. I couldn't afford it, so I just went with the small plate. So anyway, I pull up to the place now to get the food. I noticed the same homeless guy that I said I didn't have money to like 2 days prior. He's standing outside of shaking a bottle, standing outside of the chicken and fry place. I'm like, this is another manipulative tactic. Because remember I told you what they were doing in the gym. If you check out... Y'all, I'm so tired. I'm so glad I'm almost done with this video. I'm exhausted. I actually just so wanted to finish this video. From long, I wanted to finish this video, y'all. And more things keep happening too, and I don't want to keep adding to the video. Next thing you know, the video is 5 hours long. Remember these videos I made, y'all, about a month ago? You can see part 1, manipulative tactics used on targets, and you can see the hand with the strings that's, playing with the girl like she's a puppet. And then you see part 2, manipulative tactics. And I was telling you about some of the other manipulative gang stalking tactics they were using in my new gym. This was before I put up those pictures, y'all. That picture those set of pictures you saw me put up in the green shirt with the short pants where I got all the views and likes and stuff. So rather than putting these dudes on top of me and acting like they're sipping water, which they started doing immediately after I posted these pics on Facebook, instead they were putting elderly people on top of me. That's another false narrative that I mistreat elderly people. I'm not even going to go into that, y'all. It's bullshit. I'm so tired of them creating fake, fictitious stuff as excuses for why they're doing what they're doing to me. It's pure bullshit. Anyway, so nonetheless, these 2 elderly people, they were using on me, a white elderly man and a black elderly man. And it's just kind of this tactic, like, it's going to look bad. If I say, hey, okay, I'd like to work out now. Can you please wait till I'm done with my set? Like, if I say that to them, that's going to look bad. So you know that this is a successful way to impede my workout. Because what was happening was they were having these elderly guys act like they're working out in the area. And then they keep interrupting my sets. Like, we'll have basic conversation, small talk, which I suck at anyways, y'all. I do not like having small talk. I'm not a social person. It's not a crime to be an introvert. You can't force somebody to be an extrovert. It's just this weird thing to do with the programming. I've never been an extrovert. You can't make me be an extrovert. And if you know anything about introverts, you know that we're bad at small talk and we don't like small talk. And then I have Asperger's too, so I'm actually bad at socializing. I'm not good at it. Over the years, I had to practice and get better, especially as a teacher. But if it's something that's personal conversation and it's outside of like the professional realm, especially when it comes to like trying to get to know someone, I'm not that good at it. So anyways, especially with the high intensity of the targeting, where it's like all these cameras around me and everybody's watching like it's a movie. It's almost like you're making me do this to entertain the island is what it feels like. Like I'm in a movie that I don't want to be a part of. So anyways, the elderly people would make conversation with me. And okay, at first I was being respectful and peaceful and very open, right? When I just thought it was going to be like basic convo and you're just going to be in the area. I was like, okay, I don't mind this type of gang stalker. But then it turned into this thing where the person keeps talking to me throughout the session. And while I'm trying to work out and I'm in the middle of doing a set, he's stopping me from doing the set and telling me stuff. It kept happening. And so I finally made a comment about it. You know, because I'm like, this is kind of like, I didn't say it was a manipulative tactic at the time, but I knew that's what was going on. So I made a comment about how it was kind of making me uncomfortable while I'm trying to work out. They switch it and start using a white elderly man. So you know I've offended white people. You know I shared offensive content. It was a reaction. And that same time, y'all, where I told y'all I tried to leave on the Greyhound and stuff, before I ended up coming back to this island, I ended up in Florida. I had gotten a car from Carvana. Ended up leaving Indiana. Ended up staying in that car in Florida. And that was where I shared all that offensive content that I was talking about a little while ago. Hold on, y'all. Hello, good morning. Everything's good out here. All right. Yeah, so I was staying in that car in Florida, y'all. And that was where I shared all that offensive stuff, was in that vehicle in Florida. So I lost my train of thought, y'all, because of that phone call. That totally threw me off. What was I saying now? I can't remember what I was saying now. Yeah, so they know I shared offensive stuff about white people in my car in Florida. It was a reaction to what was happening around me. I just told y'all a little while ago that was a reaction. So it's going to look bad if I say that I know that you're using this as a tactic to impede my workout. Like, anybody that actually works out knows what I'm talking about and understands what I'm talking about. Anybody that truly works out and goes to the gym knows that when you're in the middle of a set, you don't want somebody to keep interrupting your set. It doesn't matter if it's an elderly person, a white person, a black person. Nobody wants somebody to keep interrupting their set when they're working out. And it was this weird tactic they were doing where they would make the elderly person, like, at first the conversation would seem friendly and I would be open and have friendly conversation with them. And I'm thinking, okay, the conversation's over, now I'm going to get to work out. Every time I start a set, the person's interrupting my set. Anybody that works out understands how major that is. A set is a set, and you're doing it to tear the muscle and get into hypertrophy. So if they keep interrupting your set, it's almost like you're wasting your time, and like you did all those hard reps and you're feeling the pain of the rep, but you're not going to get results from it. So now you have to start over and do the set again. You have a certain designated number of reps that you do each set that leads to hypertrophy. So if your set keeps getting interrupted, it's impeding your workout. And it's making the workout more difficult. And then everyone's staring at me too while it's happening. So it used to make me feel so uncomfortable. And I'm not good at socializing either. So I'm trying to socialize and I feel like I'm struggling on camera. It's just this weird thing. It was a manipulative tactic. So anyways, I made a video about it and I talked about it, what was happening in the moment, especially with the white guy, you know, because even though I knew it was a manipulative tactic that they were using, because they knew I wasn't going to say anything about a white elderly person now, because I've already offended white people. So they knew that. They kept making him interrupt my sets. It's like we would have a conversation, I would have a genuine, open conversation with him, and then now I get into my workout, I'm doing my workout. Every time I'm starting the set, he's stopping me and interrupting the set. He kept doing it. I said, wait a minute, this is a tactic. And then I realized it was disingenuous too, because something in my song was playing and it said something about the devil. And so immediately I went to change the song. I remember around the time when they were using the white elderly man on me, that was when I kept changing my songs and trying to be respectful. And I felt like every song I was listening to would be disrespectful. As soon as the song said something about devil, he came over to me and started talking to me. So I realized it was truly a manipulative tactic. So anyways, y'all, so that was where I started getting agitated, because I realized, okay, so you're not coming in peace. You feel like I'm a devil. They're using you in a way to kind of like keep interrupting my sets and impeding my workout. They do other tactics too. Another tactic that they use is they'll put somebody on the machine they know I'm about to go on and purposely have the person utilizing the area that they know I'm about to go on. Of course, I don't own the gym, y'all, but it'll be times where I've scouted out the gym and I noticed that certain people aren't there at a certain time. Like there's a certain amount of people that will be there. I pick that as my gym time. All of a sudden, I start seeing these faces start popping up that wasn't there the first time I picked that time. And it becomes packed at that time. And it's like these same set of faces, gang stalkers that they hired on, that start coming at the same time as me. And then one of these gang stalkers that they hire on, all of a sudden, you know what my routine is. I've never seen you using a machine at this time. Now I'm about to hop on this machine. You know I am. You put the gang stalker there. Like one of the guys from the old gym, a Rasta guy that went to private school with me, they had him do that. So it's manipulative tactics to impede my workout. And they've been using these tactics since the old gym. So they use a lot of manipulation. So anyway, so now with this homeless man, back to the future now, back to recently what happened last week, y'all. So I pull up to the chicken and fry place, y'all. Hold on, y'all. There's a car coming. Give me a minute. Hold on, y'all. Remember, I'm at work. Hold on a second. CID 384. All right. Work. Phillips. 458. Yeah. All right, y'all. Sorry, the first person for the morning came through the gate. Y'all can see it's 5 o'clock now, so a couple of people will come in at these early hours, but the main influx of traffic doesn't really start until 7 o'clock. 7-ish, 7:15 that time. Anyway, so back to what happened with this homeless man when I was going to get the chicken and fries, for my mom and my brother and myself. This was on, I think, Fridays Sunday. It was Sunday when this happened. And today is now Thursday, y'all. So I see the same homeless guy that just 2 days prior that was at the intersection that asked me for money. And I said, I don't have it today. And then I started explaining in my head because I know they're all watching me and ready to hop on me. I explained that I have to dip into my savings and I can't afford it. I can't afford to give him anything right now. And I remember I told you I was outside of the van waiting for my food and they were revving by in the background. So anyway, 2 days later, now this same homeless guy is outside the chicken and fry place shaking a bottle. And so immediately before I even made the turn in there, I said, look at the manipulative tactic. I said, they know I have to eat today. I am responsible for eating. If my mom doesn't cook, I don't have food. And if I don't cook, I don't have food. I don't do meal prep for Saturday and Sunday. And actually, the way I have it, I'm supposed to dry fast on Sunday. But I ate on Sunday. I was hungry and I ate. I haven't been keeping up with the fasting and I need to. I'm trying to get rid of my fibroids. So anyway, I have to eat. I already dipped into my savings. This is money that actually came out of my savings. I'm trying to get a vehicle. You're going to put the homeless guy there again as like this manipulative tactic. I'm not going to give him money. You see, I didn't even offer to buy my mom food. And when I have the money, I offer to buy her the food. We're getting small plates of chicken and fries. You're going to set the homeless man up there. So again, the people that want to hop on top of me will hop on top of me. It's going to look like, again, I'm not giving him money to the homeless person. When the whole narrative is bullshit to begin with. So I remember making that comment in my head. I said, look at the manipulative tactic now. I said, look at how they have the homeless person out here. And they know I'm not going to give him money. They know I don't have the money to give him. Yes, I have money, but I don't have money. So anyways, y'all, I bought my food. And I noticed as I'm buying the food, right, and I'm leaving, from my peripheral, I see somebody in a yellow shirt walking up, and a female in this big blue, like it looked like this African, like gear, like African, I don't know what it was, like this African garment. This big blue African garment walk up. Remember I told you I don't look at people, I look for my peripheral. So I remembered walking by them and questioning in my head, is this the guy's girlfriend? I remembered wondering, is that his girlfriend that walked up? I'm like, why would his girlfriend walk up with somebody in a yellow shirt, though? That doesn't make sense. So I remembered for days I was trying to figure out because I never looked at the face. I never do when they use gang stalkers on me, look at the face. So I'll always look for my peripheral rather than looking directly at someone. I don't think it's her. I've seen her enough times and from my peripheral, I don't think that was her. But it was the same aesthetic where it's this dark-skinned female. So I couldn't tell, really. But I'm like, I wonder if they would do that, though. Because they're getting so unhinged about the situation and just throwing his old friends from the old gym on top of me in the new gym. They're doing all kinds of tactics as it pertains to this man to excuse what he did. Now you're trying to make it about homeless people. For months on end, actually almost a year and change, you've been trying to hardcore make it seem like it was about white people. Now randomly you're trying to make it about homeless people, the fake narrative about homeless people, and like kind of like using this manipulative tactic with this homeless man. So I do recall questioning, is this the girlfriend that walked up? I was so paranoid because also, y'all, when I was turning into the chicken and fry place and I saw the homeless guy out there shaking the bottle, I noticed I saw this yellow Hummer leaving out of the chicken and fry place. So all of that was gang stalking. And then now from my peripheral, I'm seeing, as I'm about to leave, what looked like a man walking up. It wasn't the guy from the gym. It was a dark-skinned man in a yellow shirt, so yellow again. And then this female, this dark-skinned female in like what looked like, from what I could tell, some African garment. So I didn't look at the person. I didn't look at them. Up to now, if I had to pick them up in a lineup, the same thing I said about those guys from the gym yesterday. If I were to have to pick out those two people in a lineup right now, y'all, to save my life, I couldn't do it. But I did keep questioning in my head, was that the girlfriend that walked up? Up to now, I keep thinking about it, the interaction with the homeless man and the yellow Hummer and then the person in the yellow shirt walking up. And I'm like, did they put the girlfriend on top of me at the chicken and fry place? And try to use the homeless man as a manipulative tactic? Anyway, yeah, I don't know if that's what they did or not, because they're not chirping the bird. Typically, when they do something, they chirp the bird to confirm it. So I don't know if that's what happened. I don't know if they would be that bold. But they did actually put the man on top of me. I told y'all already what happened a few months ago after the thing with his girlfriend. Maybe a month or two after. Maybe like it was like a month after. Maybe like, I'm having trouble keeping up with time, y'all. It was like a month or two after. I noticed I left my new gym. Excuse me, and I go to the grocery store and I pick up a few items. And as I'm leaving the store, I talked about this in my last video, I see him at the exit for the store. There's like a cash register. It's really the return place where you return items. But some people, if you have like one item and the lines are long, they'll walk up to, I do this all the time. I go to that cashier and I let them cash out my stuff. He's there in that line, standing there with his back to me. He's facing like the exit. And I'm walking out the exit now with my stuff. And he's on his cell phone. So remember, they can hear my thoughts in real time. So I remember doing a double take because I'm like, at this point now, traumatized from the situation. It's been 2 years of you tormenting me over this thing that was out of my control. The thing with his girlfriend had just happened about a month or two prior. And they started doing horrible stuff to me. Like one of the things insinuating they recorded me having intercourse in my apartment in 2021 with an ex-boyfriend. So I am traumatized. I'm like, I'm trying to get away from this thing. And now the man is here in the store. So I remember looking and thinking in my head, is that the man from the gym? It was more like incredulity. Like it was incredulous. It wasn't me saying, hey, welcome. Not that I have a problem with him, because outside of whatever that happened with me, he seems like a cool person. But it's just not fair what happened to me over that situation. So it's like terror. I'm terrorized. And I was feeling terrorized. I was just like, oh my God, like, da, 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 da. I'm like, is that the man from the gym? I remember thinking that in my head. And when I thought that, he whipped around so fast. He heard my thought, obviously. He whipped around so fast and looked at me. And so I turned my head quick and I kept it straight. And I stared straight out the exit and I walked. And then when I did that, he turned back around super quick and went back on the phone. And then I left up out of there. They didn't like how that interaction went either. And so I think all these little things that took place, that again falls underneath the tab of actions speak louder than words. That doesn't mean necessarily that he likes me. But I'm just saying him reacting that way, in addition to the other things that took place, I think they feel like it looks like he liked me. And so I think that's why they're tormenting me. And why every day they feel the need to scream, he doesn't like you, you gorilla. I'm not saying he does. I want you to leave me alone, actually. But I think that's why they feel the need to do that. Anyways, y'all, last thing. So they be popping them up and dropping people on top of me. They had some of his friends from the old gym in the new gym. I've talked about that in some of these recent videos. I'm actually going to talk about a friend, his real good friend. Now, they really got bold with it, that they had in the gym on Monday. This was after the homeless thing happened on Sunday. So that's the last point that I need to talk about, y'all. But I was just talking about the fact that these two people walked up as I was leaving and one of the guys had yellow on. So this was all, again, as a defense for this man from the gym. Whether that was his girlfriend that walked up or not. This was all in defense for this man from the gym. And them now trying to use this fake homeless narrative in a manipulative way to pretend like now, like that's why he did what he did. I'm like, please just stop. Because again, these are all things, first of all, that took place before I got in that gym. So again, if it were about that, he would have been doing that from the time I stepped foot into the gym. He would have never been friendly with me. He would have been calling me trash from the get. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, last point, y'all. Thank God, so I can finally end this video off. And every time, I make these videos, I'm making good points. I know I am too, because that's why they're trying to drown out my words. This is why at the house now they're doing this big loud noise campaign project at the house to drown out this video and the words I'm saying, because what I'm saying is real and makes sense. Even when I was saying that, last night when I was making one of the clips, finishing off one of the clips, y'all, when I said that, the person, the gang stalker that's always hammering during the daytime that I've talked about in prior videos, hammered the hammer. Like to confirm that that's why they're doing the noise campaigns, to drown out what I'm saying because it's making sense. They're even chirping and confirming it. Last point, y'all. Remember I told y'all one of the tactics that they use, this is where I was in the earlier parts of the video, I was saying actions speak louder than words. Remember I told you after the thing with him and I happened, where I finally reacted to what he had been doing for a whole month, how he started coming around with this girlfriend and like trying to, it would seem like make me jealous. That's what it seemed like he was trying to, obviously, that's what he was trying to do. And so I wasn't giving them, I guess, the reaction they were looking for. I didn't really care. Eventually, he blocked me while I was on the Smith machine, and they know I like to look in the mirror when I'm squatting because I have long femurs, and so I'm susceptible to poor squat form. He comes directly in front of me. He could have went in any part of the mirror with this girl. He comes directly in front of me and blocks me from seeing myself in the mirror. And she and him are doing bicep curls, and he started blowing kisses at her. So remember I told you that was the aha moment for me where I realized, oh, that's why he keeps bringing this girl around me. And I didn't get upset. I didn't say anything offensive. And then it's like that bothered them that I didn't care. And so eventually what they did was they set up this thing in the back room where the girlfriend was by him and two friends. Remember I talked about this, y'all, in the earlier clips. And the two friends were doing this weird thing where they were like tearing me down and trying to uplift her. It's like me just seeing her and seeing him with her wasn't enough. It's like I didn't seem bothered enough, so they felt the need to put in my head insecurity and try to tear me. I didn't feel like she was competition. And also I don't like him like that, so I didn't care either way. Anyway, so that one of those friends, though, the same friend that I saw on Monday in the gym, I went in on him because I'm like, I saw you checking me out before the thing with this man happened. And not just me. I've seen him check out a lot of girls in there. He's just one of the, them dudes that be checking out everything? Like, he's one of them type of dudes. Like, I don't know if he even realizes he does it. But he was, like, live and direct checking me out. And it didn't seem disingenuous either. I'm a pretty good judge of things. It seemed like he was really checking me out. And I saw him doing the exact same thing to several females in there. So anyway, that's why I went ham on him. Because I'm like, you of all people, you were not the friend to use to do this. They should have used someone else. I went in on him, and then, to me, I already said what I had to say about him in the earlier clips. I don't need to keep going in on the man. I only said what I said because he came for me first. And I'm just like, the audacity is how I felt, right? Anyway, they had him in there on Monday in my new gym. It's like they actually put this man in my new gym. Now, I already told you they're putting some of this guy's friends from the old gym into my new gym. They've been slowly but surely doing that off and on. Now they get so bold, they put this man. This man is his good friend. I'm like, what? I could not believe it, y'all. And I think what happened was, on that same Monday, I don't think this is, it's tied to the situation where they're putting his friends on top of me. But I think it's because of something that happened with my Facebook. So I was in the bathroom before I got to the gym, and I was on the toilet, TMI, y'all. But you know that how invasive the program is. This is why I'm flipping out, because you have cameras on me and I haven't even committed a crime. Yet you were sensationalizing someone who did something sexually scandalous in the past. That's kind of similar to the false narrative from the text message, and you're sensationalizing this character in the targeting. But you're watching me in the bathroom using the toilet. You understand how upsetting and enraging that is, and infuriating that is? Anyway, so I'm in there using the toilet, right? TMI. This is what was happening. I was using the toilet, and so I always feel like I have more privacy from the whole island when I'm in there. Like, I feel like they limit access to the cameras when I go in the bathroom, because that would be insane if they're not doing that. Because young people have access to the cameras too. So in my head, even if it's denial, they're chirping, so hopefully that's the case and I'm correct. In my head, I'm like, hopefully it's just certain individuals like in the military, etc., that are monitoring me and not the whole island. That wouldn't make sense when young people have access to the cameras. So anyway, they're chirping. I'm hoping that's the case. So I felt safe enough to go into my Facebook Messenger at that time because I'm like, okay, not everyone's watching right now. So I was going through my Messenger and I was actually looking for somebody else because this new guy added me on Facebook, but he has a different name to the name I remembered him having. So maybe it's a middle name or maybe he didn't want it to be obvious that he added me on Facebook. I don't want to call him out or put him on blast because these people are easy to recruit, especially if things look a certain way. Maybe they recruited him to begin with. I don't know. I really don't know, but I know prior to leaving Island, he had sent me a couple messages on Facebook. And I know him from, I don't think he went to the, remember I told y'all I went to different schools growing up. From elementary to 7th grade, I went to private school, this main private school here on Island that my mom used to teach at. Then in 8th grade, I went to a different private school. I went to Catholic school. And then 9th through 12th grade, I went to public school. So in the Catholic school, I believe this guy somehow was associated with the people for that school, but I don't think I ever went to school with him because he seems familiar. And I recalled like on Facebook seeing activity with him and those people that I went to the Catholic school with. So this is where, you know, he's like this familiar character, but I don't really know him. And I don't think I ever went to school with him either. But anyway, before I tried to relocate off island and before the targeting went viral, when I was still teaching, I do recall him adding me on Facebook and he did send me like a couple messages. It was just like friendly conversation. It never went anywhere. But now here years later, the targeting is at this high level and now they're hiring Tom, Dick, Joe, anything that's a man that will take a paycheck as some sort of revenge tactic. You know, of course, I'm always questioning now, especially as these days, as things have gotten as bad as it is these days. Everything, they know that's what they created. It's an isolation tactic. Anyway, so immediately I started wondering, I wonder if they hired him on too. You know, I immediately started wondering that. And so in my head, I just remembered that he had wrote me back in the day. And when I say back in the day, like 2021, 2022, before the targeting went viral, before I tried to relocate off island. But he had a different name. So right now he has like barely he doesn't have a full picture of his face in his profile picture. It's like his lip, like half of his face. And he has his name, the last name is the same, but the first name is different. But I still kind of recognize his face. So in my head, I'm like, I don't know if he was trying to add me on the low and I'm not recognize it. And because I made a comment about it, they now recruited him and that's why he sent the message. Or if it was gang stalking to begin with. They're kind of chirping in that way. So I don't know. Like, it seems like they recruited him after the fact because I made the comment that I made. But anyway, y'all. So I was in the bathroom feeling like I had at least a little bit more privacy. Not privacy to all the way. You know, they're always watching me, but I don't feel like the whole island is watching. So I was scrolling through my inbox and there's a lot of messages in there, y'all. And it's always been that way, even before my targeting. But now that I'm a target, of course, it's even more crazy. I didn't even know it could get more crazy because my inbox has always been full of messages. But the thing is like lit to the max now that I'm targeted. And I've shown this before. I try not to do that because you're putting people on blast. It's a small community. A lot of people don't want to associate with me now due to the targeting and the way that they bully. They kind of do this bullying thing when it seems like you're associating with me. They're doing this isolation tactic. So I really don't, like to go in my inbox and show messages and stuff. But there was a time where I was trying to get to the message. I think I'm not going to mention this person. I don't want the drama. But I was going through my inbox, not the cyber stalking, cyberbullying guy, another guy that did some sort of gang stalking activity, right? They're recruiting a lot of people. And this guy was another bitter person. So I was scrolling through looking for his messages. And I was just looking at all the messages I had prior to the targeting going viral. And there was so many freaking messages in there. So it's still always been a lot. But it's really a lot now, y'all. Like, it's real bad now. So anyway, I was scrolling through and I was having to go through like this big long freaking list of messages trying to find the messages from this guy, from this other page he had, but it seems like he deleted the account. I think he deleted his old page. I could not find it. Anyway, while I'm scrolling through, this was all on Monday, y'all, before I got to the gym. While I'm scrolling through, I saw the messages from that friend. And remember recently, they've really amped up with the targeting as it pertains to this man from the old gym. They've been amped up. They won't let it go. That's why I keep screaming at the top of my lungs, leave me alone about that. Remember, just recently they sent, they did what I talked about, y'all, earlier in the clip. That thing they did where they were like, through the technology trying to humiliate me. He don't like you, you big gorilla. I'm like, I didn't say he liked me. Why are you attacking me? Do you feel like he's acting like he likes me? Is that the problem? Anyway, so I've been recently making a lot of videos about it and what they're doing in the new gym. Ever since I put up those pictures that got a lot of views and a lot of likes, all of a sudden doing the tactic of putting these dudes sipping bottles of water on top of me. So that's why even more I've been making videos about it. My grammar is terrible, y'all. I'm tired and it's in the wee hours of the morning, y'all. But I've been making videos more prevalently now because of that, what they've been doing. So that's all fresh in my head. So when I see this message from this friend, I had just talked about him in the last video and the tactics that they were using, right? Talking about the tactics that they were using with this man and his girlfriend. I clicked on the message immediately and out loud I said, just to the people that run the military that are watching me in the bathroom, I'm not thinking the whole island is watching. I said, I said, you see the messages he sent me before the thing with the man happened? I said, and he's calling me thirsty and he's back there, insulting me about the thing didn't look good. But I saw him checking me out and look, he was in my inbox. He wrote under a few stories and he wrote me a few messages, right? So I'm just like, you have the nerve to be back there talking about the thing didn't look good. And also, he just recently stopped doing this. I want to say shortly after the thing with the man's girlfriend happened, he stopped watching my stories. From the time I stepped foot in that gym up until I want to say maybe a month or two after the thing with the man's girlfriend happened, every story that I posted, he was watching it. Not that matters. A lot of people watch my story, so I don't want to make that comment and then people that watch my story like, man, let's not watch this bitch's story anymore. I don't care if you watch it or not, actually. I don't care. I want to get out the targeting. I want to be free. But I'm just saying, I'm not trying to be this obnoxious person oh, you're watching every story. And with him, I noticed though, because of what he did. I definitely noticed with him. He's watching every story. For somebody that you're saying the thing didn't look good, you're watching the thing's story though. You're watching every story. He was watching I could go right now to my stories, y'all, and show you, scroll through the list and show you that he was on every story up until just about 3 months ago. He finally stopped watching my stories completely. He was watching every story, and he's the one that added me on Facebook, by the way. Anyway, so I saw the message, and I just went and I said, you see, he sent me a few messages before, he did what he did with the man's new girlfriend. And I just made that comment, and I came out the message. I said, anyway, that's not what I'm looking for, and I continued to look for what I was looking for. Do you know when I went to the gym on Monday after that happened, that was before I went to the gym. When I went to the gym on Monday, they're still doing the stupid tactics in there. I get on the Smith machine and I'm doing this new workout. And I had wrote this workout down about a week ago, y'all, about 2 weeks ago. Not 2 weeks ago, it wasn't that long ago, it was about a week ago. I made it a new part of my routine, y'all, where I'm supposed to stand on dumbbells. It elevates your legs more. So I already do that. I already elevate and it hits the quad muscle more, especially if you're someone with longer femurs. This is a good method to use. So I've been doing that ever since getting in the new gym, not using dumbbells. I usually use a plate and step on the plate. But about a week ago, I saw this video with this guy using dumbbells and I said, dang, that looks like that will elevate you even more and make it even better, So I tried it. I tried it on Monday. And it was really difficult. I was like, whoa, I'm really feeling it on my quad muscles now. This is how I'm doing it from now on for sure. So I remember I struggled through and I got through. It's when I got heavier is when it got difficult. When I did the 135 pounds, that's like a moderate weight for me. Even that felt like a struggle. I was like, dang, this thing is really hitting the quads. But when I got to the 185 pounds, I couldn't even do the full set of 15. I had to break it up into 3 sets of 5. It was that freaking difficult. So anyway, once I got through doing that, I removed the dumbbells now. And right before I had gotten to that part of my workout, I was doing Bulgarian split squats. And there's this new guy that they're using in there on me. I already told you about this guy. I went off on him. He was dancing in the mirror and doing all this annoying stuff. And I talked about him in one of my prior videos. He's one of the dudes that they've recruited to do the drink water thing ever since I put up those pictures in the green shirt. So anyway, ever since I made that video about him, he hasn't been on top of me as much. I noticed they have him in the vicinity, but it's like he doesn't feel as bold anymore. He's not as on top of me. But I remember I went to take a sip of my water after I finished my set of, a couple sets of Bulgarians, and he walks by smirking. I remember he's supposed to be one of those guys that represents thirst. So he walks by and he looks at me and smirks. And also before I got there was this interaction at the store where I like to go and get this little turmeric shot with beets to help open up the blood vessels. They had gang stalking in there too. They had a child running in front of me. They had one of the correction officers' wives working the register. I've never seen her in there before. You know, so it was like a bunch of gang stalking stuff before I got to the gym. So again, it was them now trying to push the narrative of, oh, it's just us bearing, you know, pushing like a false narrative on you as retribution. But I told y'all that's cap. It's the level they took it to with this man. It's not just that. Like, they keep trying to, it's stuff, they're trying to warp what's going on with this thing. First, they're making it about white people. Then they're making it about homeless people. Then they're making it seem like it's just another one of these false things they're throwing at me as retribution for bearing false witness. It's gone on for too long. And it went too low. And they keep saying they're trying to hurt me. It's not just about that. I understand what you would be saying, like, okay, it's about you being a bully. But no, it's deeper than that, because you wouldn't have taken it as far as you did after the thing with his girlfriend happened, and some of the tactics you're using, like screaming he doesn't like you every 5 seconds. It's deeper than that. It's like this retribution you're trying to get for him. So anyways, whatever the case is, y'all, so the guy walks by me. He's a random guy. He's not one of the guys, to my knowledge, one of the guy's friends. He's not one of the guys from the old gym. You know, it's looked like one of these dudes that they just hired on island that they're giving a check to. So anyway, he walks by and he does a smirk. And so, of course, that always sets me off when they start doing the stupidness, especially as it pertains to that situation. It's very triggering for me. So I finish my Bulgarians and I get over to the Smith machine, like I said. Not the Smith machine, the squat rack. I'm using the 45-pound barbell, the free weight. And I did my first few sets. And I did start feeling winded. So typically I would have taken some cayenne pepper and water in that moment to open up my blood vessels. But I purposely did it in this kind of way. Like, I was doing it in the cocky way that I get when they start messing with me. And while I was doing it, the wind blew and the cayenne pepper went in my eye. I was so pissed that happened, because that never happens. Of all days for that to happen when I'm actually doing it in this kind of way, as like a reaction to what they're doing. A few pieces of cayenne pepper. And that's happened before, but that hasn't happened in a while. It went in my eye, so I was there trying to play it off, and it was burning my eye like crazy. You know, I was so pissed, but I had to, you know, just try to play it off. So anyway, I finished doing the heavier sets of squats, and I went to put the dumbbells up. And I only had one more set left, and I do like one set of 10 at 205 pounds. So as I go to put the dumbbells up, I notice some random female with cut hair. Her face looks familiar. I feel like I've seen her around the island somewhere before. She looks older than me, but her face looks familiar. I guess she's these people's age. You know, I think she's associated with these people that's, you know, like for the man from the old gym. I think these are people that are in their 40s and stuff. I'm in my early 30s, but the face looks familiar. So anyways, and the only reason I saw her face, remember, I don't look at these gang stalkers' faces, y'all. I absolutely try not to look. I purposely don't, especially when I can tell it's gang stalking. But she was actually blocking the walkway. Like, I had to get to the dumbbell area to put my dumbbells up. And she's in this awkward way where she's blocking the walkway. And she has some stretchy band that she's stepping on that's purple. So gang stalking. And she's bent over and she's pulling it and doing some weird thing she was doing that didn't even really look like a workout. I could tell it was gang stalking. So immediately I paused and I shifted course. And I walked around, like, there's this side area to the right of her behind the Smith machine that I was able to pass and put my dumbbells up. As I'm walking back, do you know she stopped doing what she was doing and she was staring at me? I saw her. I didn't look at her, but I saw her from my peripheral. Gang stalking. So then I just think I'm ignoring the bullshit. I'm like, okay. You know, all of this is stupid to me. So now I'm heading back. I need to blow my nose now, y'all. I'm heading back to the Smith, not the Smith machine. I keep saying Smith because I used to squat with the Smith machine in the old gym. I'm headed back to the squat rack now. And as I'm heading back, I see, like, there's an office down there in the main gym. I see the door open and I see a bottle of water come out first before the person. And the person that walks out is that dude. The same dude that was saying all the horrible stuff as it pertains to the man and his girlfriend. The same dude that I saw checking me out and other females prior to the thing that happened with his friend. And who was in my inbox. And who used to watch every freaking story I posted. Even after the incident with the man happened. He just stopped watching my story about 3 months ago. Literally, like 2 months after the thing with the man's girlfriend happened, I noticed he stopped watching my story. And again, I'm noticing these things, y'all, because I'm being tormented by the situation. So I'm noticing everything as it pertains to these people. So anyways, y'all, I just wanted to show you the messages from this man. So you can see that you're talking about the thing don't look good, but you were watching all of my stories. You sent me a message on Facebook. I saw you checking me out and other females. So you're just one of those type of dudes, which is not a big deal if you didn't do what you did. But the thing didn't look good, but then why were you checking me out? And why were you watching all of my stories? That's not the activity of somebody that thinks the thing didn't look good. So anyway, let me show y'all. And now you're in my new gym coming out with a bottle of water? So I even recorded him, y'all. I was going to blast him and put him in my video. I was like, nah, it's not that serious. And so, I'm like, he's getting bold because he was actually acting very bassety after I went in on him. When he did the thing with the guy's girlfriend, he was acting humble and bassety. And now I guess because they amped up with whatever they did, recruited however many people they recruited recently, I think he's feeling emboldened. So let's go over to Facebook, y'all. I need to blow my nose, by the way. Remember I told y'all what happens at this job. The AC is stuffy, and the AC makes me feel stuffy, and my throat gets scratchy, and my nose starts running a lot, and Jesus Christ. All right, let me show y'all. Wait, hold on. Let me move quick, y'all, because I don't want to be showing you like a bunch of people's names and stuff. I'm going to move quick because I don't want people's name. And, these people feel like they have to now prove that they're not down with me. Like, this is what will happen. If they see me doing this and their messages get shown, then next they get hired on as a gang stalker, and I can't deal with that. That's what will happen. Like, if I show this video and then their face is in my inbox or whatever the case is, then even if they weren't a gang stalker before, they definitely will become one. To prove a point. I'm not down with that bitch. It's real bad right now, y'all. The way that they're hiring people and trying to isolate me. Where is this guy? Hold on, y'all. I literally just saw the man's message on Monday. Give me a minute. I'm trying to move quick so that people's, thing isn't in my... Here it is. Here. So first, October 12th, right? He said, "Mon in love." And this was in 2024, y'all. He said, "Mon in love. I just said everything safe. I good. How about you?" I just said same. He said, "Good to hear. What's your plans for today?" I said, "Just work. I worked the night shift, so I had to catch up on sleep." And next time he said, "Oh, okay, I got you, Monin." I said, "Monin." He said, "How are you this morning?" I said, "Good." You can see how dry my answers are, right? I was not interested. You can see how dry my answers were, but I did think he was a nice person. He was friendly. So, of course, I'm not a bitch. I was responding. You can see it was very dry. And you can see how my answers looked? I said, "Good." He said, "You working late?" I said, "Not off." Doesn't it seem one-sided? Am I asking him questions back? Or am I just responding because I'm not going to be a bitch and I thought you were a cool person? So I said, "Not off." He said, "Oh, okay." He said, "Nice. Well, I hope you enjoy your day today." Do you say I love the comment and I didn't respond? Then there was a story. The story's not loading because obviously it's not posted anymore. And he put heart. You see, he hearted my story. That's not the actions of somebody who thinks the thing doesn't look good. But you're in the back room with the other dude, with the dude's girlfriend, talking about you look good, the thing didn't look good. But you're watching all of my stories and you're in my inbox though, before the incident occurred. Anyway, y'all. So let me come out of this though, y'all. So that's all I'm trying to show y'all. Like it's crazy what I've been dealing with the situation. It was just like complete hypocrisy. I'm like, huh? Anyway, that was the last point I wanted to talk about. Thank God, I'm done, y'all. I'm done with the video. Finally, I'm sure more things are gonna happen, but it's not gonna be added to this video. And for that matter, I'm done talking about the situation. Unless they do something really egregious and crazy that I feel like I absolutely have to document, I'm not responding anymore. Because I already said I'm done with that situation and that element of the targeting. Let's focus on the important stuff, like white people for real, and the offensive stuff that I shared, and mending that situation, and let go of that part of the targeting. They're chirping like they're going to do it. Let's see for real. All right, y'all. So that's it. All right, peace out. I'm done.